and welcome one and all and everybody to another episode of the TomCast, or as we are currently dubbing into our new series of video game book clubbing, we're calling it the DrunkardCast. And gee, I wonder what that could mean. But anyways, I am once again surrounded by my fine friends Andrew and Wiggz that are with us, and then joining us another I would say TomCast alumni, but he's never been in one of these. It's his first one, but he'll probably be here for quite a few, maybe, who knows. It's our good friend Wiggz. I'm not gonna say his actual last name because I'm gonna get demonetized. I don't make money, but I don't want to go to The Hague anyways. It's a Dutch name, that's why.
Hague.
Yeah. But, Wiggz, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome to our program, our disgusting little program.
I'm alive. I exist. This took long enough.
Yeah.
I'll be back for Metro.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I guess to put it into context, like, Wiggz here, he's a friend that Andrew and I have long known since, like, since what? Like, as long as I've known Andrew, basically, is as long as I've known Wiggz. And so I've known him since basically moving to Canada. So it's kind of, yeah, we've been doing this for a long time. We've always chatted with things. There's like a long history that Wiggz and I have of like we used to work at the same place and shit like that. We used to work at Walmart in the tire and lube center, like changing tires and then like doing oil changes and stuff like that. The job was ass.
Perfect for the lube center.
Shut up.
Yeah, because we know how to administer it on your asshole, okay? Yeah.
Well, there goes demonetization.
Yeah. Well, I haven't said...
No, we just can't say it too much within a small frame of time.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But I will
we gotta space it out.
I will get demonetized by using, saying one of the products we legitimately had on the shelf, which was Jigalube.
Jigalube, yeah.
Jigalube, my goodness. Like, genuinely baffling. But anyway, so yeah, like, during that period of time was awesome. Well, I mean, it sucked because the job sucked, but the people we hanged out with were homies. Basically, every single day after the tire and lube job, I went back to Wiggz' house and we would play, like, Silent Hill, or we'd play through, like, Persona and shit like that. So we've...
Yeah, what did we do? We did Persona, Parasite Eve,
oh yeah,
Silent Hill, Shadow of the Colossus, I think. Or maybe that was with Kelly. We did a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot. The Persona dancing rhythm games, we did, a few of those. Which is a classic one where it's just like me playing it and struggling, and then there's like this giant ass bottle of Buffalo Trace, like bourbon whiskey. And I just like take it and just like swing, and then immediately get better at it.
I think you got like a full king, whatever the
King Crazy.
King Crazy, that's what I think. You got a King Crazy on that even.
But anyways, so.
I would also like you to know that I do still harass Kelly with Joy from Persona 3 from time to time.
That's awesome.
Good.
I was thinking about that literally every single day earlier this year when the Persona 3 remake came out. Because it was just like every time you hang out with somebody, it would play that. I'm like, this is incredible. Man, I love that game.
I'm actually going to send that to him right now.
Oh. Oh my goodness. What? Great game.
Well, I just have it saved permanently in the drive, so that way when I need to, I can just send it to him.
Exquisite.
And then every single time his response is some variation of fuck off.
Yeah.
Yup.
Great game. We will talk about that some other day, surely. But anyways, today, I guess, Andrew, how are you doing today?
No, I'm all right. I'm excited to get into our discussion. It's been a hot minute since we've had one of these, so
yeah,
I'm sure we got plenty to talk about.
And I guess like to the people listening, it won't really matter because it will have received the previous DrunkardCast and then
shifting timelines and all that nonsense.
But for us here, I still haven't even like I haven't even edited the prior TomCast because of some things that I'll probably do in my channel update video for next year. But
yeah, it's a recording. A lot of stuff. Oh, yeah, that was good.
Ooh, getting them in early.
Yeah, and then Waves, my friend, how are you doing today?
It's been good. I had a solid 3-hour leg day. I tweaked my back a little bit, so I keep having to shift in my seat. But it's been good. I'm good.
You tweaked your back? That before or after we administered the Jigaloob?
This was before. I obviously didn't have my back lubricated, and that's what caused the injury. It's completely user error.
That's true.
Now
that's
he's
true.
tweaking.
I would never blame my certified Walmart technicians.
But anyways, so yeah, we're back here to do another discussion on another video game. I would assume that after you heard the last one, you would all be clamoring for another one. Also because we like doing these. Of course. We like doing this. We did like doing the last one. It was so long. It was like 3 hours long. Because it should be short. We're just talking about one thing. Doesn't work that way.
Professional yappers over here, yapologists, if you will.
Yeah.
And that one, some of us didn't even get through the entire game. This one we've all been through probably several times for some of us. So
I would say numerous times.
What even was the last one? Was that the Baldur's Gate?
Yeah, it was the Baldur's Gate one. Yeah,
3.
Baldur's Gate.
I never even finished it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
It's like Elden Ring, dude. I can't get through it. I just get burnt out every time I try.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be talking today, as chosen last time at the end of the video. We chose the BioWare Entertainment. I'm just BioWare, I guess. I forget. BioWare Studio,
their old
whatever.
names. Yeah, we'll everyone will know them as BioWare. Yeah,
BioWare. BioWare, which is the classic
BioWare.
2003 Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Which is, their seminal 2003 Star Wars RPG. They came out during that time. That is, to this day, considered a classic, and I would very much agree that it's considered a classic. It is one that we have a lot of history about. So, to kind of start the conversation and kind of edge ourselves into it.
Gosh.
Stop saying that.
Joke. Are you gonna edge Tua?
Oh my god.
I told you I was gonna fucking say it.
Booze hasn't even been administered
Go home,
that
Waves,
much
you're
yet.
drunk.
But anyway, well, he's exactly where he needs to be. This part will be clean up anyways, probably. But anyways, we're going to be talking about just basically our history with BioWare games, because I do believe in this audience that we have probably a bit of a varied history, where some people have played probably only this game, some people have probably played other games, people like me that are an old head in that, you get the picture. But anyways, to start off, we're going to do with our brand new co-host for today. So Wiggz, what's your experience playing through BioWare?
Mine with BioWare isn't necessarily as extensive as most other people. Like with the KOTOR games, I started with 2 because I saw the box art and thought it looked cool, and then played 1 later, and then they became a certified Kino. I never played Dragon Age. I only ever watched other people play it. And my opinion was just, this looks kind of neat, but I'm not much one for fantasy. All I can say is that Morrigan, I think that was her name, the crazy witch lady, was hot.
Well, you know that much, so you know the important bits.
You know more than 90%.
And then Mass Effect. And then Mass Effect was really the only other one. So those ones are... I'm trying to remember if I even played Mass Effect before I played KOTOR. I don't think so. Mass Effect is another one where I don't think I played it actually until I got a copy from you.
That's right. That's
like
right.
12 years ago.
You have. That's my copy. That's my copy of Mass Effect on the Xbox that I didn't need it anymore because I built a PC around that time. So I'm pretty sure it was like, you like KOTOR? You'll probably like this game. And now you have it like signed by Raphael Savarge and Mark Meer.
Raphael Zabarge and Mark Meer. That's correct. They sit in a safe place, and I just play the digital copies because I don't want to fuck up the nice OG disc copy.
Other Mass Effect things that I own that are at his place are it's my Mass Effect like trilogy soundtrack vinyls that I need to get shipped over here in some capacity. But
I did start storing them in like a nice side table that I just picked up the other day. So they're with my other vinyls and stuff. So they are well taken care for. Because I also have your Celeste soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that one good soundtrack, but yeah. Anyways. Waves, my friend, what's your experience playing through BioWare?
Man, so my first one was probably Knights of the Old Republic 1 on the Xbox original. My uncle, he was like an OG gamer, like consoles and stuff. Both of my uncles were, and like I remember going over there, and I was a kid, and I saw a Star Wars game, and I was born in '99, so I was 3 years old when it came out. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And like as a little kid, I don't know if you guys ever had the experience of like trying to play a video game and you're not quite grasping it, you're just kind of fumbling around, but you have all these like weird ideas of it. Like it was such a thing for me when I got to like middle school, and then I came back to KOTOR and could actually like read the instructions and follow them and figure out what I'm doing. And I was like, all these things and like memories of the game I had ended up changing. But I blew through KOTOR 1 on PC, and then I sat there and I was like, oh, the second one's on there, and I played through the second one, and I've just absolutely loved it. Other BioWare games, I'm sure there's games I still haven't played through Mass Effect. I gave it a shot, Tom. It's just not my style of game. But I do like a lot of their products and stuff. I like a lot more turn-based stuff though. Like definitely KOTOR that's not necessarily turn-based, but you can pause the combat and stuff, you know. Like freeze the game, so that always helped out. And I love Star Wars, the medium that, despite being drugged through dog shit these days, it's still got a place in my heart. That's what I grew up with, you know.
I guess like to make a clarification to the audience, I guess, because they may or may not know. Knights of the Old Republic 2: The Sith Lords, that was released like just barely a year later. That one's not developed by BioWare. That one's developed by Obsidian. So they made
the Goat Studio.
The OG Alpha Protocol, and no other critically acclaimed RPG.
That's right. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. They made Fallout New Vegas, which is very critically acclaimed.
Oh right, yeah, that little title.
It's
right.
Yeah, that one.
I think I've heard of that. You know,
No,
it's
I
not like
didn't
I
think
have
you
several.
It's one of those games like you might pretend to play, but you actually seen a video essay on it. You know, one of those games. But anyway, Andrew, moving on to you. What's your experience with BioWare?
I get the feeling that we've probably discussed this on previous episodes. So for those of you who've been tuning in the previous ones, I apologize because I'm going to sound like a broken record. But for anyone who's just tuning in for the first time, one, how could you to catch up on all the other stuff after you're done listening, of course. So yeah, I started BioWare through Dragon Age Origins. And this was back when Blockbuster was still a thing. There I go, dating myself. When Blockbuster was still a thing, and you could rent games from that for a week.
Rest in peace, Blockbuster.
Rest in peace, Blockbuster.
And VHQ and Movie Gallery.
Yeah, VHQ.
Oh my
Movie
god,
Gallery.
VHQ. VHQ was a bit better because they had PS1 games.
Yes. What have I done? I've opened a can of worms. I'm just gonna be depressed for the entire episode. You're welcome. I walked
That
into that.
nostalgia hits and you just get sad.
Yeah. God damn. Yeah, so that I was really relatively late into getting into BioWare. And then I didn't get into Mass Effect until much later because unlike the rest of them, I was a PlayStation kid. So PS3 instead of Xbox or Xbox 360. I know. So yeah, we didn't get Mass Effect until much later. But no, I got into those and enjoyed the original trilogy. I'd actually started playing KOTOR earlier, back when I was still in school, but I never finished that playthrough for whatever reason until recently. And then I haven't played a ton of BioWare stuff as of late. Ever since Anthem, it's it's been kind of hard to get back into it. So
I totally forgot that we played Anthem together there for a while, and then when I hit the end, I was just like, "Is that it?" And you were like, "Yep, that's it."
I heard that Anthem actually got like pretty decent towards the end, like when they gave a shit about it. It's just, its launch was just so much of a mess that's what really did it.
Of the latest like BioWare projects and that's like an argument that's made with a lot of them, where near the end, either near the end of the game or near the end when they kind of put in the effort that it needed to, the game's actually got a lot better. So like Mass Effect Andromeda, which is not the BioWare we know of, which I'll kind of get into when I get my spiel, but because BioWare Montreal, of course, was in Montreal, and they were just straight up like newbies that had no clue what they were doing, and you could tell that they learned the more they developed the game. So like with Mass Effect Andromeda, the game literally gets better the longer you get into it. Like the more you get to the end, it actually does. It's like you get to some points where before it was like, oh my face is tired. And then you get to the end of the game, it's like, oh shit, they finally figured out how to make a good game. Like it's pretty wild to see actually. But anyway, continue, Andrew.
No, that's pretty much where we sit in terms of BioWare. A lot of their old stuff older stuff I thoroughly enjoyed. Including Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which I got into later in life. And then much of their newer stuff, like Andromeda onward, not so much. So yeah, I am excited to a degree for Dragon Age the Veilguard, but we'll see.
That's code word for waiting Tom to play it and then seeing what I say about it, and then probably taking my reaction and then like condensing it down.
Waiting for our pay pig to try it out. So
this is the most sickening thing you've said on my podcast yet, and it's upsetting. And I hated that you do it. I hate we're only 20 minutes into this, and I have to do this to you.
Wrong?
You make me sick. You could have said, you're an Xbox show, you do the Game Pass thing, perfect. But leave BioWare alone, goddammit.
I love BioWare.
Clearly you don't.
I mean, I like some of the BioWare. I never got into Dragon Age Remastered.
You like one game.
That's a damn good one.
Shit, you're right.
Oh boy. Anyways, I guess I will move on to myself. With BioWare, man, oh man. Apart from basically like Anthem and a handful of other games, some of which I'll talk about because it's like, oh, these are like weird oddities that people didn't know about. But I've pretty much played most of them. Like I've played all the Baldur's Gates. I've played both Neverwinter Nights. I've played KOTOR 1 and 2. 2, of course, not being developed by BioWare. I've played Jade Empire. I've played Mass Effect 1 through 3 and Andromeda. I've played all the Dragon Age games, and I'm looking forward to Dragon Age the Veilguard. I think there's a good chance that game could be great and a success, but we'll get to that. But the only game I didn't play was Anthem because I played a bit of like the demo or the beta, and it's like, oh, this is like Destiny, and I don't like that game. I don't like looter shooters, so I just didn't play it. But here's a couple other games that BioWare has developed that are like really weird and messed up. So, anybody want to take a guess?
You're pulling out Jade Empire?
No, not Jade Empire. These are ones that it's like nobody else will probably know.
Oh.
3 I think are canceled. Yeah, 3 of which were canceled. But first one I'm going to talk about is Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood.
Really?
That was a DS Sonic, I don't know if it was an RPG or just a Sonic game, but that was a game that BioWare Edmonton developed.
Huh.
And so, that's one. The original Command & Conquer Generals 2 was another BioWare game that was in development, which is wild because they don't, it's like getting BioWare to do an MMO. Hey, That's another one. That's another one that Waves and Andrew have played.
Yes.
We've played the Old Republic.
Star Wars: The Old Republic. But that's BioWare Austin. That's not BioWare Edmonton.
Yeah.
To be fair as well, I have just started several characters and then just gotten bored. Lost. So I wouldn't say that
we're all in
played
that
it.
boat.
Was it Hoth or Tatooine? That's usually...
Probably neither. Probably just Korriban.
Oh.
Or whatever the Sith
So not
planet
very
is.
far at all.
Oh, you're not
So
far at
Sith
all.
Well, it
there.
depends. That was my latest attempt. Before, I think it was probably Ted.
That's because you don't play with us. But we also don't play with
I
each
don't
other.
have I don't know anybody that plays MMOs. It's always just me.
Yeah,
Me.
That's fair.
Me, but anyways. Yeah, that's one that, and Logan, who is not, doesn't listen to these anyways, and doesn't, he might be a host one of these days, who knows, but Andrew and I, we've played, quite a bit of the Old Republic together with it, and those are, I gotta say, fellas out there, like, if you don't really care that much for MMOs, but you like story-oriented stuff, the Old Republic's awesome, because it's basically playing like a BioWare game, where you get to make your voice decisions and stuff like that. But when you're in a group, it rolls the dice, and then whoever wins the dice roll gets to talk, basically. So it's always pretty fun. But the recurring joke with those is always like, oh, I quit playing those games, and then it's always like, oh, Hoth or Tatooine, because they're the most boring dog shit planets, which we'll get into.
Well, I just think with MMOs for me, it's always really hard because I've never gotten into one as it came out. Especially World of Warcraft, you get into it 20 years later, and all of a sudden you just get in, and it's so much, and you just are like, where the fuck do I go? What do I do? I never know what to do, especially because I'm playing by myself. It's not like I know anybody that plays these games.
Yeah, and I think if you're just getting into a long-established MMO as a new player, all the other players have already moved on to the endgame content, so you're probably playing in a barren world, and everyone else is already having fun in party land up with the max level shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just literally you start up the game and you've got all this shit coming at you once. Normally a bunch of shit they added later that you can do immediately. So you get these quest pop-ups and other things.
Oh, like the onboarding experience then.
Oh yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, okay, do I need to do all this? It's what's the main story? What are these side quests? What is going on? It's really Elder Scrolls Online is like that even. Every time I start that up and I play through a little bit, I sit there, and if I put it down, I come back, I'm like, fuck am I? What is going on?
Yeah, but that's we'll leave that discussion for another time. But Waves should play. We should all play. Set up a day or a year or something like that, where it's we're gonna play through the Old Republic. Scoring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down. I'm completely down for that.
Oh,
I like the gameplay of it.
I love that damn game. But, anyways, going back to BioWare, yeah, I will very much say that BioWare holds a very special place in my heart. I pretty much love most of their games. Even the flawed ones, I like. And mostly because I am, of course, a nasty, disgusting shill that takes the money from everybody. So I only say positive things, of course. But I inversely, to cover my own ass, I would say something like, I see the positive in things, even in negative things. But even projects like not Anthem, sorry.
Yeah, I was about to say
Andromeda. They ain't the first two letters, but anyways. With Andromeda, even though there's a lot of problems and that game was a failure, there were still some things that I really enjoyed in it, and it could have gone somewhere, but that was during a period where EA had no faith in single-player games at all, which came to, they immediately basically got, their lunch eaten, or whatever that expression is, when, their sort of, multiplayer RPG Anthem game bombed, and then a single-player Star Wars game developed by the guys who made Titanfall 2 came out and then outsold all of it. Handedly. And that was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. But anyways, yeah, it's one of those where, they've had a tumultuous history, but I'm hopeful for the future, which it could just be coping. It could honestly be cope. We don't know. But, BioWare, even with the current track record, is genuinely one of my favorite devs of all time, and one of those where I used to live up in Edmonton. So to me, the idea of one of my favorite like RPGs games of all time coming from like this rinky-dink office in Edmonton is a really like wild and like crazy experience. It's one thing where it's like, oh, this game's incredible. It's like, yeah, it's in Japan. Oh, this game's incredible. It's like, oh, it's in like LA or, you know, in the United States or something like that. No, it's from friggin' Edmonton, dude. It's so like local that Mike, Andrew, and I, we've literally gone to the Epcor building in Edmonton and pointed at it maliciously.
That's right. We had to air our grievances.
Yeah, which is one of numerous buildings that we've pointed maliciously to. But
Eidos.
yeah, yeah, Eidos, Montreal. But basically, yeah, that's my experience with BioWare, and we hope for the best. And so, by the time this video comes out, my top 10 of 2024 would probably be out by then, and so we'll know if Dragon Age the Veilguard makes it onto there. But as of recording, I am neck deep into like a whole bunch of fantasy RPGs, so we'll see. But I guess with that, we should move on over to, I guess, just general thoughts on actually get into the game that we're talking about, Knights of the Old Republic. Mm-hmm. So,
did we want to start with like a summary of like the opening before we get into it, in case there's someone out there who hasn't heard or played this?
Yeah, I guess so. So like, Andrew, yeah, like give us the premise of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Sure. Okay, so when you boot up the game, you begin with the standard Star Wars title crawl and blurb. It's introducing us to the, at the time, unseen history of Star Wars. It was set at the height of the now apocryphal Old Republic, before the great legend schism that resulted in everything written by prior scholars before the new Disney canon law as being heretical. We're playing a citizen and combatant at the height of the war between the new Sith Empire and the Galactic Republic. We wake up aboard a ship. It's called the Ebon Star. It's escorting an important Jedi Knight, Bastila Shan, who is very important or pivotal in the war against the Sith Lord Malak, once apprentice of the previous Dark Lord, Revan. The ship is under attack by Sith forces, looking to capture or kill Bastila, and we start off the game trying to get off the ship before blown to smithereens. And thus opens the adventure.
What was the name of the ship again?
The Endar Spire.
Endar Spire.
The Endar Spire. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
I'm sorry. I've already failed. All right. I'll turn in my...
Guys, this guy obviously doesn't know his lore. Can
I don't
we
know
kill
Star
him?
Wars, guys. I'm a fake fan. I've been fooling you the entire time.
Andrew, I just called the schedule. You will be scheduled to be drawn and quartered tomorrow. I've ordered the horses.
You know what? I'm not even gonna resist. It's been a
You're
good
gonna
run.
receive a tactical Tom drop.
Yeah, soon. Yeah, this guy don't wiki surf, that's for damn sure. But anyway. But,
turns out my memory wasn't that good after all. What can I say?
Oh, that's fine. Especially for a game that we should have played like a month ago. Or two. But that's fine, that's fine. It's the prologue.
Oh boy.
I guess to like add some extra context into this, the Old Republic as it's known, technically in universe, the Old Republic is like this thing that spans well over like 10,000 years, 20,000 years, I think.
Something like that.
Technically, during the time of the rebellion in the Galactic Empire, aka like episode 4, 5, and 6, before that time, that was basically what was called the Old Republic. But even to them, the Old Republic was a thing that lasted thousands of years. And in the context of this game takes place, I don't know the specific, but it's like 3,300 and some odd like years before the Battle of Yavin, or BBY, as they would call it, for all the dorks out there. But yeah, so this game takes place thousands of years before the movies. And so it's supposed to be this age of like high conflict between the Sith Lords and the Jedi Knights and Jedi and stuff like that. But anyways, yeah, Andrew, you want to keep going, or is that good enough for a prologue, you think?
I think for opening up, that's probably good enough. We'll talk more about the game as we get further in, but I think that should give newcomers a decent view into what exactly you're stepping into if you boot this up.
Yeah. So with that, we're just gonna basically give just our overall thoughts on the whole game as a whole. I guess the whole game as a whole. Haha. But hey, the booze is already taking effect. But yeah, just talk about what our general opinions are, and then we'll go into gameplay, we'll go into narrative and characters and stuff like that. But Waves, it's like general thoughts on the game itself.
I'll just get us started off and say the one thing. Obviously, I think it's a pretty common consensus. The combat has probably aged the most poorly out of anything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And even then,
there's a couple other things too, but.
Well, yeah, I was never a big fan of the combat, but it's like the story and the world and everything else, and the fact that it's an open world, essentially RPG in the Star Wars universe, kind of makes up for it. Like the combat, you can just throw the game on, especially once you get a lightsaber. It's like you're good. You're good. If you make a strength build, you're good. Just like every other RPG. I love my strength. I think another thing that I will say, it's like as much as it's like a 10 out of 10 for me. But some of the Sith options are just a little like cartoonishly, which can be fun, but it's like there's not a lot of nuance in some of the writing. It's like you're either Superman or like fucking the evil version of Flash. Like there's no in between. You're either the nicest guy that's ever existed, or you're just like comically evil, like beating up a child for a lollipop. Not just taking it from him, but like kicking the shit out of him. Which is, again, could be funny in like a pure evil playthrough, but sometimes it's like, oh, I wish there was like a more nuanced option. But still, 10 out of 10. The writing, the characters, I'm a simp for Bastila, especially Goth Bastila. Oh. Yeah, I'll become a Sith for you, ma'am. But yeah, I love the game. It's a 10 out of 10. Even the second one, like, I always recommend to people get like the community patch that's out there, because like a lot of video games, the publishers and everybody were like, hey, game's not ready, push it out, buddy. We, gotta get out. It dropped in an unfinished state. It's pretty buggy. I remember the first time I played it when I didn't have the bug fixes installed. I literally got soft locked several times and then hard locked eventually. The game broke and I didn't feel like replaying 4 hours worth. Ended up beating it like later after that one, but definitely recommend that for that. And there's a decent amount of mods for the OG. Well, I've never really played with them.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
10 out of 10.
Wiggz, what's your overall thoughts on Knights of the Old Republic, or KOTOR as we frequently call it?
Yeah, I'm gonna preface this by saying when I talk about KOTOR, I'll try to focus specifically on KOTOR 1, but I tend to view 1 and 2 like as a whole. Like a lot of what Wave said, it's something that did get remedied in the second one, but definitely in the first one. Like, yeah, the answers are cartoonish. Either you are the perfect bastion of virtue and goodness, or you're this evil bastard who enjoys like skinning puppies in front of children. Because I've played, I think way back in the day when I first like did my original run through of KOTOR, I always liked the Sith stuff more. I just generally tend to enjoy villains more. But when I played it, it was very much like, yeah, even if you want to be like evil, it's kind of obnoxious how evil you are. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but especially when you get towards the end of the game, it really gets kind of ridiculous. I don't want to say how shoehorned in a lot of stuff, but like some of the responses some of the characters give, even though you've been evil the entire game, and then towards the end when you're like, I am the evil McNasty man, and then that's the straw that broke the camel's back. We can't have that.
It's like you've been Jack Horner the whole time, and yet they're still like, oh, jeez, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get more into that when we get to the other sections of the vid.
In KOTOR 2, they definitely remedied that a little bit more. This time, because I did a run through just recently, I did a nice good guy run through of KOTOR, and then I did a bad guy run through of KOTOR 2 because it's the most fun. They did remedy that a lot more. At least Obsidian did. I don't know if that was because of community input or just because of writing input. But they definitely had a lot more nuance. Like, I've seen hours long videos of people talking about Kreia and philosophy and everything, and I was kind of interested, so like with that, I tried to do more of a still kind of evil, but at the same time like a middle ground person, where it's like, yeah, I'm outwardly a bastard to everybody else that I encounter, but if it's like the crew or anything, or people who are loyal to me, like I'm going to be a lot nicer. And they dealt with that pretty well, whereas in KOTOR, you don't really have a lot of that option. But overall, like the world building of KOTOR is still great. Manan still is the peak, especially with
we'll get into that.
soundtracks and everything. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. Overall, it's great. It's fantastic. It was really good for how it introduced a lot of things, and as Waves mentioned, Goth Bastila, Mommy Bastila, whatever you want to call her. If I remember correctly, BioWare was the one with. And I'll also say, the Bastila romance is actually like really, really difficult if you get into the brass tacks of like what you have to say to her.
Yeah.
It's like an actual woman, dude. It's like fucking.
Hey, I didn't want to say it. Anyway.
You're like, this response should work well. What do you mean by that? Oh god. Oh, reload.
What I mean is,
yeah. But they are the ones who really like popularized that and introduced that into a lot of mechanics, and obviously like a lot of the big romance plot lines that people know of are from BioWare games, whether it's KOTOR with Bastila, or Mass Effect with any number of the crewmates, or Dragon Age brought it in as well. But a lot of RPGs then took that into Western medias and Western games because it was so popular. Do a quick little sidebar with Hogwarts Legacy. That's one of the things that people are asking for the most is, like, hey, why the heck isn't there like a little romance subplot as
don't you
a
play
student?
Like children in that game?
That's a very American argument, but so that is an argument that is being made against it, but it is something that is very popular that was first brought into with BioWare. So that's just kind of, I'm going to start going in too detailed if I go further. So for now, that's just kind of things. It was a great game. It popularized a lot of stuff. It was really revolutionary for a lot of the RPGs at the time. Overall, just a great game, and I'm very glad that it got Game of the Year for when it came out.
Oh yeah, that's very true. That's very true. What's funny is that it revolutionized a lot of things, not in gameplay, but yeah, like how in the style of what we expect an RPG to be. But Andrew, what are we thinking about KOTOR?
I just want to say I didn't even think about the whole romance angle and how BioWare pretty much kind of paved the way in that field. So yeah, that didn't even cross my mind until now. It's interesting that you brought it up.
I'll add in quickly. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I will say not just that they've done it, like they were the ones who've pioneered into it, the first to do it, and have set the standard. They are still arguably, I think, the best at doing romances in video games. Just saying. But
no, a lot of nuance with their.
I definitely like
characters.
how they did Bastila's romance specifically. Like, to just go on a tangent here. I'm sorry, Andrew, but like you guys said with the romance, it's not really something I thought about, but it's like
we will get there.
I'm a hopeless romantic, and I love romance in almost any setting I can do, especially if it's a role-playing game and stuff, where there's a bit more personal connection or projection onto the character. And that's true with all the BioWare games. It's not something I really notice is at the romance options. And like you said, like it's actually very difficult. It's not just like a shoehorned in, like, oh, you're nice and best. Like there's a twist, there's things that happen and whatnot, and there's things that you can't control. It's really creative, and I do appreciate that about BioWare. I do think you're right that they do the romance the best, which is a shout out to them, because I am like a fucking wine ant and I love my fucking
They do. They genuinely do. I don't. There are other studios and other games and lots of other RPGs that try to do romances and stuff like that, but they're not as well written as a lot of BioWare games are.
Looking at you, Baldur's Gate.
No, they're not. We talked about that. We didn't really talk about the romances though, but yeah, that's another.
I think we touched on it a little bit, but like it wasn't I don't think it was a big thing for.
It's a big juxtaposition to BioWare when I go play Baldur's Gate and all of a sudden at a campfire, like every character in the game prepositions me for sex. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's a bit.
Like they all just come up, they're like, huh, sex? And I'm like,
It's a bit on the nose.
No, I'm good. I don't know you.
That's because
Buy me
they
dinner
think they think you're a theater kid just like them, and you'll say sex yes.
Asterion.
You know, they look into life
Not
license.
all of Larian. Remember, they made Divinity.
It's true. It's true. Like the guys in Baldur's Gate 3, they're like, if they have a driver's license, like ours is very simple. It says like sex M, male, sex F, female. For theirs, it says sex and then it's yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Yes, immediately.
Yeah, baby. All right.
Yeah, baby.
Right. It's happening.
Anyway.
Right. Oh, my thoughts. Yeah, no, it can't be overstated that BioWare essentially pioneered console RPGs with games like KOTOR and Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and Jedi Empire to a degree, I guess. I mean, KOTOR was built primarily with like the original Xbox in mind, right? Before it was being ported to PC.
Absolutely.
It was very forward-thinking for the decade. So KOTOR almost served as like an on-the-job experience training for the team as they were trying to figure out how to get this genre that has like potentially dozens and dozens of key bindings to work on something that has like what 10 or 12 buttons. So quite impressive in that regard. The gameplay conventions, you know, they're prototyping and they probably haven't held up to scrutiny over the years, but it helped pave the way for how console RPGs, especially the BioWare persuasion, are played today. It was extremely cinematic. Everyone was voiced. They had mo-capped animations for combat and cutscenes, which is probably not common for early 2000s.
Yeah,
and then,
not for
like,
a 2003 game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know overall as a Star Wars experience, I mean, the theme of absolute good versus absolute evil that Star Wars is known for, it's not breaking new ground in that way. I think it sort of did it with a little bit more forethought or smartly with the twist reveal that comes in the game that Star Wars fans weren't used to at the time, and it helped pave the way for this media franchise, the old Republic media franchise that many still hold like dear, to the point where there's a lot of ardent believers who still hold this as true canon and that Disney is heresy, right? So it's just,
I'm that person.
Yeah, it just goes to show the staying power that this has had over the years. So yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we'll get into that. To go into my thoughts, basically, so we can move this trash along. But anyway, my overall thoughts, despite some flaws with Knights of the Old Republic, some visual thing, not visual, I guess like art direction things, and then mostly a gameplay thing, because it's using, I think it's like a D20 system, but anyways.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real and say that Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite games of all time. It's not the favorite, it's not my favorite game of all time, it's one of them. If it was in the top 10, I think it would very, very firmly be on there. But it's one of those games that, like, before this whole sort of like malarkey of just making dumbass videos and shit like that, I used to frequently replay Knights of the Old Republic, and honestly a lot of BioWare RPGs frequently, like at least once a year, even sometimes twice a year. And it was honestly like it's kind of funny looking back on it, that as well as like Halo 1 and 2, that was like the reason that me and my brother like traded in our GameCube with a bunch of games to get an Xbox. And to go off like what Andrew was saying earlier, where it was built into that. Nowadays it's like, yeah, we're so far detached from it, but for a 2003 game, Knights of the Old Republic was like a very pretty game and showed off like what the Xbox can do in that period. I remember like people, like family, friends and that coming to the house and then coming downstairs and watching me play like KOTOR, and then people going like, wow, that game looks really good, like the graphics are really good. And for, like 2003, yeah, those were pretty damn good graphics. But KOTOR, along with like most of BioWare games, to me, they're a warm blanket. It's just like there's not really that many games out there that like, and a lot of the other games that I love and would be on my top 10 of all time sort of thing, which would be hard to do, but regardless, there's not like a lot of other games out there that so reliably always like allow me to just enjoy something. And like, and Wiggz probably understands this is probably why he replays them so often, like decompress after a like nasty ass day. Like it's like BioWare, just like that, along with
it's like warm soup.
It's like a warm soup. It's like a warm blanket. It's like it's the same like in this period where I'm replaying like these Dragon Age games and that. For that, like these last few, like the last couple months, and probably for the next couple, I've been nasty and hard over here because of a predicament that I'm in. But it's like, holy shit, thank God there's BioWare games in here that just like, oh my God, every day I come back and it's like, I'm so glad and happy I get to like be in this world, deal with these characters, and play this game that I love. But another thing, I guess the final thing I will say is that and I really saw it with this last playthrough, it's interesting like how quaint this game is. Like compared to the rest of like BioWare's other like games and stuff like that, especially after playing Inquisition now that I look at it, then it's so quaint, it's so small, it's so like tight, it's so like, it's like, wow, it feels like every game is a collaborative effort and stuff like that, but it's like, it feels like a game where it's almost like you could tell how handmade it was in a lot of ways. Like it's weird to describe, but no, I love Knights of the Old Republic. It's one of those. It's been a few years since I last played it, and going back into it now, it's like, yep, I still love it. I still love this game. It's still incredible. There's some stuff like nowadays that would have to do. We'll get into it with like it would be with canon and stuff like that. And even then, when this game came out, or after this game came out, I should say. There's some problems I have with the setting of the Old Republic, but
okay.
With that, we'll leave that behind. But I guess for overall thoughts, are we all pretty good here, fellas?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'll give him my 2 cents.
Yeah, we're going that. Alrighty, then to move on, this should be on also pretty, like, because my notes are super kind of scarce on it. We're just gonna talk about, we'll just talk about the gameplay for a little bit, which is pretty simple, and it's really kind of not the reason why we're here. It like in pretty much every retrospective, it's like, yeah, the gameplay kind of stinks, but it's Andrew with the gameplay. What do we got for the gameplay?
Sure. So for those of you who haven't played this, again, I'll just give I'll try to be brief with how it plays. So this is like a transition period between what they were doing in Baldur's Gate and then what you would come to expect from like Dragon Age or Mass Effect. You control a party of 3, ones consisting of your avatar, who you build from the ground up from a few classes, a soldier who's like a fighter, a scout who's kind of like a ranger, and a smuggler who's like a rogue. I use those comparisons deliberately because this is literally built from like a modified D&D system with the dice rolls and all that. It is third person. You interact with characters that are highlighted by either walking up to them if you're playing on like a console, or by clicking on them if you're on PC. When you're building your character, you can't dictate too much about their history, and that's fine because it's actually tied very much into the story, and we'll get into that later. So while you do, I guess, play as a blank slate-ish, you're not really. So, and that comes up as part of a twist. The skills in the game play itself and the combat are built off like a D20 system that would have been an adaptation of, I think, 3rd E at the time, 3rd edition D&D.
Do you think strength? Do you think it would be an adaptation of like West End Games? No, that wasn't a D20 system. It would be the Wizards of the Coast Star Wars RPG, wouldn't it?
Yes, the Wizards of the Coast Star Wars system. Yeah, that's right.
So
you've got your standard spread: strength, dexterity, wisdom, charisma, yada yada yada, all that stuff.
Yeah, they just changed the names up, but
yeah. The combat is a real-time with pause / pseudo turn-based thing. You queue up actions and they occur in intervals. And this is done twofold. This is done, with the primary goal of having combat be experienced, especially with melee, with all the mo-capping actions and stuff like that. But what that means is that split-second actions are tough because you have to wait for an action to finish before you can do anything. So make sure you get all your heals out of the way first. But that's pretty much how it plays. It's a D20 system, modified D20 system. You build your own character. You control 3. It's third person. That's the long and short.
Yeah, that's pretty much about it. But like, how do you feel about the combat? Is it like, it's like, you know?
Yeah. I personally have a few gripes with the combat, and I get it. They were transitioning from Baldur's Gate, which had the real time with pause, but it was fast. It was quick real time with pause, into this, which Star Wars is known for its very cinematic, flashy combat, right? So they tried to implement that into the game, but again, that means you need to wait for actions to play out in intervals. So if you're being attacked by multiple people and you need to heal instantaneously, you're not healing instantaneously unless you have someone else healing you. So you're probably going to go down, which is just, I don't know if that's antithetical for a game, especially if you need to make split-second decisions. It certainly makes the combat look pretty, but sometimes I just need to get a shield or a health up, which is kind of a struggle. And then there's also very much definitive good or bad builds in terms of the combat. Like, melee takes the cake 100%, especially if you're taking into account like Jedi magic powers, right?
Oh yeah.
They're objectively better than any ranged build. And the reason why is because melee not only has higher attack rates with the strength stat or with the dexterity stat if you're using lightsaber, but it also increases the damage as well. Whereas ranged, damage is very much restricted by the type of weapon you're using. So you'll quickly find that if you max out like strength for a regular melee character or dexterity for a Jedi character, you're a lawnmower through every combat encounter, whereas range quickly becomes a slog that drags. As doubly so if you're dual wielding, and even more so if you're using like the different attack options like flurry of blows. So in terms of an RPG and like build variety, it does suffer in that regard. So I can't really like play a Han Solo scoundrel type character.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
blasters suck.
Yeah. Wiggz, you got much to say about the gameplay?
Yeah, I've got a few comments. One of which I will slightly disagree with Andrew on a few points. One of which being the blank slate thing is, it is and it isn't. It is a choice. You either choose to sort of be a blank slate, or you choose not to be at the prescribed time, without going too far into detail. That one's kind of iffy just because you are limited by RPG standards, where it just kind of, it's not quite as bad as in Mass Effect, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna tweak my backstory to this and that. But ultimately, Shepard is his own character.
Yeah.
KOTOR, you're determining the backstory, but it's the early iterations of it, so it's not very detailed.
Okay.
But ultimately, you can choose whether or not you are a true blank slate. This is kind of a new start, so to speak, or if it's more of a continuation. As another point, you're not wrong about the instantaneous effects. However, just given the age of the systems, there are workarounds, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for example, if you're in combat, you do need to put in a health pack or something like that, and then their next hit is going to kill you. there is a workaround where all you have to do is you go into the start menu and you go into your inventory tab and you can select like a shield or a health pack or something, and you can use it instantaneously, or a stim, for example.
Yeah.
But it only works once.
All the damn time.
It only works once.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out, but it does block you. Like, you can use it once. Like, you can start up a shield or use a health kit just to like get you to the next turn, but it does block you from using another one. But you still have access to your combat roll, so you can kind of save around it there. Or I know I had a hard time with Darth Bandon way back in the day.
Oh my god!
And you can always save scumming is still a thing. You do your attack, save, load, you get the attack on the first roll again, so you just rinse, repeat. That's a cheap way to do it, but it is a way to do it. As to the actual gameplay itself, I am a bigger fan of voiced protagonists, but I also realize that with the way that BioWare did things, in Mass Effect, you have some issues, and I know, Tom, we've talked about that with Andromeda, specifically with the Reyes character, where they give you the little snippet of like what the idea is, and then it goes off into like what he actually says, and sometimes it's like completely wrong from what you meant. Whereas with KOTOR, it gives you basically like the full dialogue of like, this is what you're saying to the person. And with however many different lines of dialogue are in the game, and it's already a huge game.
A lot of lines.
And at the time, that could have been a technological limitation. It's fine. For the most part, there are a few times and a few quest lines where things can goof. Where you get locked out of a dialogue option, or you don't even get access to an advanced dialogue option because of what you said earlier. Like, it's the earlier eras of kind of a lot of that RPG element. As to the D20 system, I actually love it. I think it's great. However, this is my big asterisk that I'm drawing in the sky right now. When I first played KOTOR, when I first played like KOTOR and KOTOR 2, like KOTOR 2 especially, I think I was like 10, maybe 8 or 10, and I had no idea what I was doing. So I was assigning stuff to like just completely random, like what I thought would be good, because I didn't understand the system. And like, the games were significantly harder for me because of that, versus like now I know exactly what I'm doing. So it's like, I'm doing a Jedi Consular Sith Lord build or something like that. I want to do a lot of force powers. Okay, I need to put into like will and charisma and persuade and everything like that. And then it kind of, the script flips, and then the game becomes like almost too easy. It becomes a cakewalk where you just do like insanity and then force storm until the entire room is dead, and it's like 20 enemies.
Yeah, it is really easy to get really powerful, especially with the lightsabers in the forest.
Or even, I think the light side has, what is it? I think it's like stasis and then force wave.
Stasis is fantastic.
You do stasis field and then force wave, and then once again you kill the entire room of like 30 people. I like it personally, also because I just think it's charming. And I went back and I played like, Force Unleashed and everything, and the combat in that is fun, but at the same time, if I had my choice between a D20 like turn-based combat system where it's like, okay, this is my combat stuff, I'm gonna set it, as opposed to button mashing like X for 30 million years, and even Jedi Survivor to a lesser extent is kind of samey, where it's just like, you're just button mashing. There's not a whole lot of combos you can get into. It's like, I would rather have the D20. They could have had more variety in the animations, but once again, early iterations, potential technological limitations. That's why I'm interested to see with this KOTOR remake, what they end up doing, what direction they kind of choose to go, because they could really do something quite impressive with the gameplay as it stood, even if they try to keep it as similar to the original as they can.
And we will
I'm hoping
get
they
into
keep
it.
the D20. Yeah, I'm hoping they keep the D20, but maybe they won't. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the gameplay.
Waves. My friend, what do you think of the gameplay? You got much to say?
I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of a system. Like, I get that it's based on D&D and everything, but nothing pissed me off more, especially when I was younger, of like having a lightsaber and being like in a dude's mouth. Swing, miss. Swing, miss. Like, that shit just bug. I'm like, I'm right in front of him. Like, yeah, it'd make me do 1 damage, but come on, I should be at least hitting him.
Nobody tell him about Morrowind.
Yeah, this was especially on Xbox. This was like that was a complaint I heard all the time. Like people who played Morrowind on Xbox.
I think it is a very dated thing though, because like I said, I do think it's visually, especially in a 3D game. In a 2D game, you could argue that what you're seeing is more of a representation of what's going on. I guess you could argue that in a 3D game too, but like in a 3D game, especially like KOTOR, where it's a bit more real time and you're controlling the character, I'm like, let me hit him. I'm right in front of him. And I also, at that point, wasn't really understanding how the game worked. Like, when you're young and you play the game, you're like, oh, I'm going to start dumping points into this stat because it sounds cool or something. And you just fuck your build up. And you can and will get soft and hard locked on Knights of the Old Republic. Like, it can and will happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Expanding further on.
I think once you get used to it, I mean, I think it's a fine system. And like I said, if you're really having trouble with it, just turn it down to easy. You're playing it for the story.
Yeah, that's fair. But it's
but
interesting.
I like it. And the twist, I think we'll get into, but the twist I want to point out doesn't really work for me. I think it kind of makes it funny in my case, because my name's Evan. And I name my characters after myself. So you're just sitting there, all like sitting there. I like to imagine them that they're sitting there and they're like,
oh, don't worry.
Oh, okay, what's your name?
We got a double.
Evan. And they're like,
we got a double with this one, and we'll get into it because like my brother's name is Brandon. Oh, Darth Brandon? Really?
I thought it was Darth Brandon the first time I played, like 100%, until I got into the actual battle.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Speaking on that, for the most part, the combat encounter, if you're playing in normal, I mean, the combat encounters are balanced and it scales with your level. But then those mid-bosses, those just suck, if I'm being fairly honest.
Sure. The hardest fight in the entire game is like the fight on the bridge of like the Leviathan, which is like the Sith flagship. That's straight up, I think, like numerically, it's the hardest one. Yeah, with Saul Kareth. But
yeah, and it's weird. I mean, like, it's a good way to test if your build is viable, but most builds aren't viable.
In the first game, I struggled with Calo Nord a good bit.
I did too.
1, 2, 3.
Smart.
Fucking
anyway,
ass motherfucker.
I'll get into it. I'll try to be kind of brief here, but
sure,
because pretty much everybody said everything. Without a doubt, like the gameplay to me is like the weakest part of this experience, and it's specifically this like janky RPG sort of combat. I understand for the era. I understand what it's trying to do. I understand what BioWare was going through in that time as well. They literally, they made CRPGs and stuff like that. My main kind of problem with it is that, like, Jedi Sith is really just the only way to play the game. Like, if you can't really do non-force, you can't really do, like, non-lightsaber. You could do maybe, like, swords and vibro swords, but it's never going to be as great as a lightsaber. It's never going to be as great as like, oh, lock it in, put that double-bladed lightsaber with that Heart of the Guardian crystal and just blast everything.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, and the game kind of gives you a little bit of a gimme with if you went like for a proper melee build with like vibro swords as opposed to lightsabers where you can get like the blade of a Junta Paul and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with like blasters, no, you're just fucked.
No, blasters, there's no point. And there's all the melee weapons, and especially the lightsabers, have so many capacity for customization that gives so many benefits. There's no reason to not play a melee character and add force on top of it.
Yeah. But it's funny to me, like the best part of the game, gameplay wise to me, is always Terrace, because I'm one of those like sickos that I'll leave my character at level 2 till after Tatooine, so that I can like, level up. Yeah.
Oh my
so I can
gosh.
level up. I'm one of those nasty characters where it's like my goons do everything for me. But in the end, with the gameplay, it really is just kind of. It's one of those where it's like it either makes me wish for a full like action RPG like the Jedi games, like Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, or a full CRPG. It's like kind of I'm left unsatisfied. I just want give me either one or the other. And if it was KOTOR, it'd be perfect either way, I think. But that's really all I gotta say about the gameplay. In a very mechanically sort of way with some story decisions. Sometimes it's very much like the redundancies in like conversation trees don't really work out.
Yes.
But sometimes they work exactly as intended. In like for example in Manon, where you could like really dick around with the courts. And if you're very specific in how you do your conversation, it really leads and works in a way. But that's kind of what I gotta say. But we good here with the gameplay, fellas?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, we spent a lot of time talking about the combat. Did we want to talk about the other skill as well? CRPG has other things too.
There's not really much, to be honest. Like it's like what like. It's like Tom cranks everything into speech so he could knock every speech check.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's probably what I was going to say is like...
and then very conveniently gets T3M4 to come in and do the security stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, never repair the droid. That's a waste of time. Just blow it up. And anyway.
Or the uselessness of stealth. Ugh.
Oh, stealth is just, useless. But
I made the mistake of putting some points into stealth, and that was... a mistake I regret.
Yeah.
Actually, that's one other thing I can add is that is also a game changer because the game doesn't explain it very well. With your companion's skills, like now I'm like, oh, that's fucking obvious. Of course, your companions, you can use their skills. Like I said, when I was playing this as a kid, that did not click with me, and so I was always wondering, like, how am I supposed to do all this stuff with the repair skill? How am I supposed to do all this stuff with the security skill? Like, I don't have the necessary skills. And then when I figured out, it's like, just switch over to your companions and get them to access the computer terminal or something, and or a workbench if they need to create something. Like, that is something that once you figure it out, like, is a huge game changer. But when you're relatively ignorant of it, the game doesn't explain it
when
particularly
it's baby's
well.
First RPG, it's like,
yeah, literally.
No. But we good with gameplay, fellas?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
All right.
It seems like we're eager to talk about the story.
Yeah, it's pretty much the rest of my notes are all, like narrative, character, that sort of stuff. So, with that, Waves, are we good to go on to the story?
Yeah.
Alrighty. We're gonna head into the narrative. I should have said this, made this disclosure earlier, or warning, or whatever the hell. Every single drunkard, TomCast, whatever. And at this point, I'm not slurring my words enough, so obviously not enough. Not yet. Yeah. These are all spoilers, like 100% spoilers all the way. I guess up to this point we have in some
game.
Yes, for this literally like 21-year-old game.
Oh, it's old enough to drink.
Yeah, in the United States, but
in the United States.
Yeah, but at this point we are going to talk about the narrative and we're going to talk about the spoilers. And so, with that, I guess I'll start this one. Whatever, I'll start this one first, and then you guys feel free to jump in or whatever. But
sure.
Spiel that I got basically is that like it's hard for us to see now, since we played it so many damn times and we've replayed it so many damn times. But it's like this is just a very quintessential, timeless, like Star Wars, like light and dark side story. It's like it is genuinely as timeless as like the original trilogy. and it's like, you know, good versus evil and things like that. And it is done in its execution really damn well. Moving on, like,
fuck off. Sorry.
Every time he says that, and I'll leave it in, it's a cat. It's a cat attacking me.
It's a cat.
It's not like him violently.
She has been harassing me for like the last half hour. It's been super annoying. I've been quiet until now.
Yeah. It's not him like violently reacting to like my diatribe, my spiel.
Or it could be. We'll never know.
Yeah. And kind of with it, like, even the idea of, like, the old Republic, now it just seems kind of old, and we didn't really mention it because, like, the concept of the old Republic back in the previous canon, that's been a thing since, like, the 90s, since the early 90s, like the Tales of the Jedi comics by Dark Horse.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But what the old Republic is cool, and it doesn't matter if it's now or canon or whatever, is this is like an era and a period of high war between the Jedi and the Sith. It's not like, you know, whether it be like the original trilogy where it's like all the Jedi are dead and it's just a couple plucky guys going after this galactic empire, or the prequel trilogy where it's like, you know, the Jedi are everywhere and it's these couple of Sith guys up to no good making a lot of trouble in your neighborhood. But
well, and Tom, this is something that I know you and I have discussed ad nauseum, which is something that is kind of irritating the more that I look at it, which is it kind of goes more into the art direction and everything. But it's like the Old Republic doesn't feel old.
Exactly. This is like
you knew exactly what I was going to say.
It's literally in my notes, and I'll get to that a bit later. It's one of my big issues that isn't like a gameplay issue with the Old Republic in general.
The Old Republic, yeah.
But yeah, the 2 minutes ago Republic, anyways. But
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, this is into a more mechanistic way of the narrative. It's a very like quintessential like BioWare formula game of like you got these hub worlds and you're looking for something. So like especially if you compare like Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age, and Mass Effect, you compare specifically those three games in formula of how the game is done, how it's plotted out, how it's like, you know, how it's paced. They're almost exactly the same, which is like, here's thing you need to do, go to these locations to go get the thing, or do the thing. So in this one, it's like, in Knights of the Old Republic, after you go through the entire ordeal in Terrace, which is kind of like, it basically sets up this, it's this prologue, which is like, some people say the Endar Spire is the prologue. To me, Terrace is really the prologue, and it's a pretty good one.
Extended prologue.
But it basically, like, it sets up the world and the stakes and things like that. And after that, once you move to Tatooine, which is like a planet where you discover, oh, you got force abilities and things like that, and yada yada. It's like, then basically the premise of the whole game opens up where it's like, okay, you have to look for these star maps that will lead you to the Star Forge, which is this elusive weapon that the Sith have in control, or maybe they don't, but it's this thing we have to stop the Sith from doing. And you got to do it through this star map. And basically, like, every BioWare game since then has been like that sort of thing. It's like in Dragon Age, it's like, oh, we need to go to these places because of, you know, the Great Warden treaties, so we could fight the Blight. And in Mass Effect, it's like, we need to find a conduit. It's like, it's very classic BioWare in that sense. And so, of just, going to a series of hubs and finding out about the world through them. So finding out through different cultures and through different worldviews and stuff like that. Another thing about the narrative, just in kind of general, I love how the choice changes the nature of the narrative. So, like, it could be, we'll just go into, like, spoilers right in. There comes a point in the game where previously, the Darth Malak is this big evil bad guy. He's your main villain. He's basically not a copy of Darth Vader, but yeah, same thing. He doesn't do but it's like, yeah, he's got like his lower jaw chopped off, and he's doing all the evil
taste of the dark side.
Yeah, doing all these things. Like
Evil
wipe this
robot
pathetic
voice.
planet from the face of the galaxy, like that sort of stuff. And so, but it's shown that like prior to that, it was 2 Sith Lords, rule of 2 type stuff, which is funny because rule of 2 didn't really happen, and it doesn't matter. I'm just
No.
blowing shit out of my ass.
We can talk about the Carpathian books later.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be another video probably.
We can touch on it at least.
Revan was this guy's Sith master. He was the Sith Lord before Malak. And Bastila, one of the main characters, led a Jedi strike team to kill Revan, or to capture Revan. And in doing so, Darth Malak, in a very typical Sith fashion, tried to destroy it and killed Revan. Spoiler alert, it turns out throughout the game, you end up figuring out reason why you have this connection with Bastila that's like you share dreams. You share dreams of where Revan might have been and things like that. Turns out because
Among
you're
other
Revan.
things.
Because you're Revan. And it's one of those things.
God, who could have predicted that the Jedi
Yeah.
named Evan turned out to be Revan?
Yeah.
Shocking.
That's crazy. That's so funny though, but
That's also why I love Revan.
to put
Quick
that
sidebar. One of the funniest things to do in the game is to just name yourself Revan from the beginning. And you're
Yeah.
like, I'm not Revan. I'm Revan.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not Revan, I'm Evan.
Yeah.
You're both, idiot.
But anyways, I guess I'll jump in my notes quickly. I will say it's been so long and it's so timeless, but like the Revan twist, especially back then, and especially the first time, and especially if you're a kid, the Revan twist is honestly one of the best like video game twists of all time.
For sure.
It's like
Oh, that blew my fucking mind the
it's
first
like,
time.
yeah, like now we're so used to it. We know who this guy is and we know whatever. It's like the same. It's the same with the original trilogy. It's like, I know people like I talked to when they first watched like episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. And when Darth Vader says like, no, I am your father. People were like, what the hell? Like it was a genuine twist. And back then that was the thing with Revan, and it's why it's so cool.
Unless you're Dutch.
Yeah.
Where his name is literally Darth
Vader.
Dad.
Yeah, Darth Dad. Yeah. Too bad the Dutch don't matter. But
I know.
too bad the
Rip.
Dutch don't even exist either.
To be an ape.
So silly.
Show me. Do you guys know the tweet I'm talking about where the person's like, Dutch, what a fake and preposterous language and culture.
It
Show
is
me
a
your
fake and
skull.
preposterous language. As
be
a
an
speaker, it is fake and preposterous. Anytime that Tom and I have flown into Schiphol, that is actually like a fever dream. We don't know where we are. We're in a liminal space traveling to our intended
Now,
destination.
when you fly KLM and they do all the announcements in Dutch, and it's like, just try not to laugh. Thanks for Thanks for flying
Challenge
KLM, and it's
level
just like, you
impossible.
could have just said that, please. But anyways, to get onto it, I thought you were gonna say in German, and it's like, no, it does go hard in German. Nein, ich bin dein Vater. Also, it goes hard in Japanese, but it does not go hard in Spanish or Italian. But anyways, but going into that,
Sono tu padre.
Io sono tuo padre. Yeah,
He would say to like fucking emphasize
Yeah.
it, but that's still fun.
yeah, and then it's yo soy tu padre. But no, no, please. That's but to go back to it, I love how like the choice changes the nature of the narrative. It can be like, because if you do Jedi, it is the story about light and dark, and eventually getting into it, like, you know, like your past and redemption and that sort of stuff. But if you do evil, if you do Sith Revan and stuff like that, and I'll go into how the characters react, which I really do like. It changes from like this light, dark, stereotypical to like this master and usurper like narrative, which is I really like it. It's really interesting because near the throughout the game, when you do it that way, especially after you figure out about Revan, it really is about that. It's about the master and the apprentice, like, you know, not father and son, but like it is that way, and you have the relationship you have with Malak changes in that way.
Yeah.
But
since we're into spoiler territory now, like this is something that I kind of talked about earlier without going super far into it. That is one of the things that I do find kind of ridiculous, is that like if you are doing a dark side playthrough and everything, you are right. Yeah, it is very much so like I'm the master. That motherfucker cheated me. Like, I'm gonna kick his face into the dirt, and I'm gonna break off the new jaw. Like, it becomes much more like more of a vendetta almost than I'm a super nice hero man who's gonna help everybody. But it is stupid that all of your companions, or not all of them, but like the more light-leaning companions, even though you're like openly evil, like up until you crash on Lihan, and you're like killing innocent people and you're doing whatever the fuck you want to do, and you're like, I'm the McNasty evil man, I'm the Dark Lord, and they're like, no, he'll change, and then you get to Lihan, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, where are Juhani and Jolie? And it's like, oh, I fucking killed them because they told me I wasn't allowed to be the evil McNasty man. Juhani is another thing. I'm not gonna go into it right now anyway. But then you get back and then it's like you have mission and whatnot, and she's like, no, I know you. And it's like, no, obviously you don't, bitch, because I've been bad for like the last 3 hours. And you should have realized that and fucked off before now. Karth is the only smart one who's like, no, I can't believe you. And then he runs away and survives. But it's like, I remember the first time I played, and my first playthrough was an evil playthrough, and you get to Lihan and you decide to be evil, and I think I had already killed Juhani in the Grove because I was evil that playthrough. But then obviously you have to kill Jolie in the temple, and then you get back to the ship and you kill like half of your crew, or you get Zalbar to like kill Mission.
I love that.
I think he still then turns on you, and then you have to kill him.
He doesn't turn
if
on
I remember
you.
correctly.
If you go, I'll kill you mission, he'll turn on you. But if you don't, if you say like, Zalbar, I own your ass, kill that bitch, he will do it. And I love that because it's so dark, it's so messed up, it's so like,
oh my god.
Zal, what are you doing, Big?
It's one of the few times. Yeah, what's the matter, Big Z? No, you're not gonna do this to me. Yeah, I'm gonna do this to you.
What do you mean my stealth skill is useless?
But most of the time, yeah, like most of the decisions in the dark side are so like comically evil. That's the first time. That's one of the few times where it's like so wonderfully like, yeah, that is, you are evil. You're an evil guy.
I didn't realize it got that bad. I played a sort of kind of middle of the road but more light leaning by the end of it sort of playthrough, so I didn't realize just how evil you could possibly get. I had an idea, but I didn't realize it get that bad.
If you go full evil, you end up going into the Starforge, and your only companions that are available to you is like T3, HK, and like Canderous.
HK, my beloved. And Canderous. I fucking love Canderous.
And Bastila. Actually, a quick secondary sidebar. That is the easiest way to romance Bastila, is to just be evil. It is the light side one that is the hard one, because you have to redeem her.
She's such a queen.
Yeah, she becomes very much ride or die, and then you're just like, well, she's like, you cannot defeat my master, and then you like kick her ass a few times, then she's like, well, we can kill Malak, and then you're just like, all right, concubine, I'll go do that, you stay here.
All right, concubine.
Get ready for breeding. Like, I'll be fine.
Oh my god. Oh boy.
Use your Starforge to fuck up the Republic. Or not the Starforge, your battle meditation. Use your battle meditation. And then fucking Master Vandar and Admiral Dodonna just get
use all my alacrity stems after this.
Battle meditation.
All Republic forces, pull back.
It is too late for us, Admiral.
It's too late for us, Admiral. Getting fellatio, I am. We don't get Astilla, skilled with the mouth shields.
Oh my god. Jesus.
Metal meditation uses the head, the mind.
Dexterity still I need. Old I am. Shoot dust, they say I do.
Don't pick up my Cialis prescription, I must.
See,
This has gone. What is going on? It's gone off the rails.
This went off the rails. Tom, take it back.
What if the BioWare devs and the writing team saw what we were just talking about there? What do you think their visceral reaction would be?
This could have happened because I have applied to BioWare. It's for like an IT thing. They called me and they said, no, we hired somebody else. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Bastards.
They called me back and they're like, we just don't see the market for 7 different books about Bastila and romance between her and
Obviously, you don't know me because it would be Juhani, a disgusing cat Romanian lady. But
Juhani is very fun.
That does remind me, another quick little sidebar. The Juhani companion quest. I did try to complete all the companion quests and everything, and I think I got all of them except for Juhani because I got soft locked out of it.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, and I saw that this was like a consistent issue when I looked it up on online, that it's like, yeah, if you leave it towards like further towards the end of the game, like it'll just it might trigger, but it's very, very difficult to actually get it to activate. Because you've got to like fly through so many different planets and whatnot, and there are people who are like, I've gone through every planet like 35 times and then it activated, and I personally wasn't in the mood for it. I just looked up what the video was, like what the resolution to the side quest was, because I had never done it before, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then I just went and finished the game. But I know that is a problem with like Juhani specifically, is if you leave it towards the end, you can have a hard time activating the interaction with like the slaver guy. And it's similar like with Canderous with his final interaction with, I don't remember the guy's name, Javi, I think is his name. You can, that's one of the ones where you can like fuck it up really easily. And like I said, I was doing a light side this playthrough, so I was trying to keep Javi alive, but it's like, if you say, it's very much like all or nothing. If you say the right thing, perfect. You're good. If you say the wrong thing, or like even halfway the wrong thing, there is no opportunity to redeem that, and end up with like the good ending, so to speak. Like you're just gonna kill him. There's no that one. There's no second chances. Like you either get it right the first time or you're killing him. Little sidebar to some of the companion side quests.
I guess to continue, Waves. What do we think of the narrative in general, or Andrew, or
That's
whatever?
right. The actual topic at hand.
No.
So back to Bastila. I mean, I really enjoy the narrative. Like I said, I do think, like, looking back at it, especially the first one, it's like, I would really like a more nuanced, like, light and dark side.
Sorry, Waves.
Like,
Sorry, Waves. I don't mean to interrupt. We will get into a full character section if you want to leave it to that. I meant, like, just the narrative in general, but...
Oh, I love story. It. Like, I think the whole story is very cool. I think the whole Lost, like, the arc of, like, you actually being Revan was actually really cool. Because it obviously assigns you a backstory, but it's one of those where it's like, it gives you enough flexibility. Unless you read a bunch of extra content and books and stuff about Revan. Like, oh. But it gives you enough flexibility to kind of sit there and, like, interact with that world, but not necessarily have your own. I like to self-insert a lot of the times in my role-playing, but not have that, like, overpowered. I think Fallout New Vegas, ironically enough, is one of the ones to do that, because you obviously do have a past, but it's left vague enough intentionally so that it works with both the game's lore, the setting, and everything, but still allows you to put your own spin and narratives in on it. I think, which is perfect. It's sort of like a D&D campaign. You might have to have some sort of like centralized backstory to fit in with the plot, but at the end of the day, you're still allowed your narrative freedom, which I really, and that's, you guys all, pretty much nailed it in terms of the analysis. So that's about all I have to say on the story. It's like, I really like the open-endedness of it. I love all the characters. Karth is a bastard. I love him. Mission is an annoying little brat.
There.
And I love her.
We'll get there.
So
narrative in general. Andrew, what are we thinking?
All this mission hate. I think the overall premise of this big bad empire, putting the morally righteous republic on the back foot, it's not new in the face of it. Like the movies are built on that premise, right? And even having the fact that you being a Revan, who's essentially oh my gosh, I'm tripping with my words, who is described as being the best Jedi Knight before falling to the dark side, then having this potential redemption arc. Like, that's literally like Anakin's arc to a T, if you follow that light side projection. But I think the fact that it's kind of hidden behind the mystery of that you can solve yourself by paying attention to the clues and the dialogue that's given in game, that's what made it pretty engaging. And then I do agree with your sentiment there, Tom, about how the different trajectories you take can change how the story functions. Like how if you're light side, it's a redemption arc, and if you're dark side, it's either a usurper story or it's showing how you were always fated to go to the dark side. And honestly, considering how powerful the dark side abilities are, I can't say I blame him. And then if you're falling somewhere in the middle, it's more of this balancing act between the temptation of the light or the temptation of the dark whereas trying to stay on the light. So I think that really does help keep things really engaging, especially for first-time players like myself.
Yeah, that's for sure. For sure. And so with that, are we good with the narrative here, fellas?
I believe so.
yeah, that's it. So
Okay. In this section, for the audience out there, we had a little intermission. We're back now. But before we get back into specifically KOTOR shit, excuse me.
Oh boy.
Before we get back into specifically KOTOR shit, I got a warm-up question. And this is like just a Star Wars in general question. This is not like about KOTOR and this and that or whatever. And the question is very simple. And basically, because nobody knows what my question is, right? I hope not. I don't think I posted it.
No.
Okay, good.
I don't know.
I did post like, I have a secret question, whatever. It's a very simple one, but it's a nice little like, hey, yo, a little icebreaker. Hey, everybody's talking. You know what I'm saying? The warm up is, what's everybody's favorite lightsaber color, and/or style or hilts?
And style and hills?
Because this is something. It's like, we should all know. So, but is there anybody that wants to go?
Silver with a Count Dooku handle.
Go Wiggz, go.
Yeah, silver Count Dooku handle.
Oh,
Like that
yeah,
style.
there we go.
Not necessarily saying
That's
his
hard to
handle
beat.
specifically, but that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I gotta agree. The dueling Dooku handles
my
are definitely
God.
the hardest fucking
They're
hilts they've ever
so
dropped. I
good.
fucking love Dooku's like curved handles. They're my favorite.
Andrew, are we gonna
That's gotta be
are we gonna
mine.
be 3 for 3?
I think so. I mean, like, for when you say color, do you mean like blade?
Yeah, like blade color and then like lightsaber hilt or style or whatever.
Oh yeah. For my blade, it'd have to be yellow. And then for hilt, I mean, I don't want to say Dooku's hilt again, but
No,
like,
that's fine.
It's hard to beat.
You know why?
It goes
You know
hard.
why? Because that's mine as well.
The prick was
It goes hard. His style is the coolest style too of lightsaber combat, which is like that fencing sort of style.
The fencing sort of thing.
The
Yeah.
elegant, like dueling
Oh my
style,
God.
dude. It's just badass.
Like,
It's so good.
For anybody that has seen the Clone Wars, Wiggz will know this for sure. The best lightsaber fight in the entire show is when like Obi-Wan and Anakin try to figure out what happened to Sifo Dyas, and they go see Count
Yes.
Dooku like when they're going to the Pikes with a P, like
YouTube.
getting that.
YouTube.
It's okay. We're
It's like Pike's Place
Pikes.
in Seattle.
Pikes. But yeah, that's the
Like
best
the
fight.
Starbucks
That's the
coffee.
best fight where he's like doing his fencing stuff and like bending backward. It's like awesome. It's the best one. But for mine,
What color are your lightsabers?
my favorite lightsaber color, I'm a Mace Windu guy, man. I love my purple.
Purple is
Dude,
good.
That goes
That's
pretty hard.
what's up. See, I'm a dual wield guy, so like I've got to be. If I'm light side, if I'm feeling like a good little guy today, I'm going blue and purple for my lightsaber colors.
okay.
But if I'm evil, red and purple. Red and
Oh
purple
my
goes
god,
fucking
red and
hard.
purple, man.
Mm.
Not even funny. And then yeah, I like the curved Dooku handle. Goes hard. But I will say, lately, especially after Jedi Survivor, I am an incredibly partial to the crossguard lightsaber now.
I love the crossguard style of lightsabers.
Especially like Jedi Survivor cemented it because it's kind of a Souls-like, but kind of not, whatever. But in it, like the crossguard lightsaber is like your Zweihander, or like basically your heavy longsword, your two-handed sword. So it's like, yeah, you're always like stuff like that. It's so awesome. I'm like, yep. And on top of that, the second best style, which is the one I use all the damn time, was like saber and blaster, which is like, yeah, that sort of Count Dooku fencing sort of style where
Oh yeah.
you're like fencing with the other hand and then you reach with your blaster and then you just blast them. That's awesome. Play Jedi Fallen
And
Order,
nobody
Jedi
says
Survivor.
does.
And you flip up and you flip out. Yeah, there we go. It worked exactly how I wanted this to go. my little warm-up question to get us back into Star Wars
we
stuff.
shield for Dooku. We shield for Dooku.
Oh
in
my
this, in
god,
this,
I genuinely,
channel.
the character of Count Dooku I think is so cool. I legitimately think he's so cool. I love his like Tales of the Jedi like shorts that came out a couple years ago. Those were awesome. They were awesome.
I gotta say, as much as I love Episode 3, and I know I get blasted for this, but it is my favorite, mostly because of nostalgia. But they did him dirty.
Oh yeah, they
Episode
did him
3.
dirty.
It still
Yeah.
breaks
You know
my
why
heart.
they did him dirty? As I'm pouring my drink. You know why they did him dirty? Straight up.
Go ahead.
Why?
Because Christopher Lee would go into George Lucas's fridge in his trailer and take his food out. That's why he wrote him out.
Certified big back revenge.
That was
moment.
Christopher Lee. That's why he got like written out early. Because for all of Attack of the Clones, it was just that he'd just go into like George Lucas's fridge and take his food in between takes and shit like that.
What a G. I respect the hustle. Though, that being said, if I have a time machine, I know what I'm doing now. Mr. Lee, don't! Your character deserves another arc. Don't steal Big Back Lucas's food.
That's awesome, man. Anyways, I guess to go back into KOTOR, which in that game you can choose your lightsaber colors and stuff like that. Which is why the Heart of the Guardian crystal breaks my heart. It's like,
Like this.
How many things are you pouring up? I heard one thing pour into a glass, then I hear something crack. I'm like, damn.
pour one
I gotta step
pour
it
one
up.
out to the homies, man.
Yeah.
Pour one out to Darth Bandon. Shout out to my brother.
Darth Brandon.
Darth Brandon.
Dark Brandon.
My
BioWare
brother,
was
if
trying
he
to tell
was
us.
if he was in a new metal band, that's what he looks like. He's got that goatee. But yeah, that's why the Heart of Guardian crystal kills me, because it's like, man, I don't want this color. I want purple, damn it.
Is that the blue or is that the orange one? I don't remember.
It's like orange.
That one's orange.
And then there's another crystal that like regenerates force really quickly. That's like white or silver. That's pretty cool. White is also like a pretty cool color. Like I always think of like Ahsoka's sabers.
Ahsoka's sabers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're pretty cool. But anyway, moving on to in our discussion of Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
We're gonna be talking about characters. So it could be any character. I think it's mostly gonna be companions. That's what I got written down.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And then after that it's like planets and shit. But yeah, does anybody want to start off with like any characters that they like, any specific shit, anything that you've written down?
Heavy breathing.
I was gonna say waves.
We can do that one later.
Yeah, sit your ass down.
Down, boy,
Heavy
down.
breathing.
All right, Andrew, we start with you. We start with you, Andrew.
Well, why don't we start with the main guy, Revan?
Hey, that's a good one, even though it's literally the last one I have. But go right ahead.
Oh, he's literally the first on my notes because it's like, it's you, right? So, them acting kind of like this. This is before you realize who Revan is, but they start off kind of like as this Darth Vader masked figure with immense power, right? With the cool ass armor and them being extremely powerful and whatnot. The mystery of them rising to power and amassing that army to rival the Republic, I think that's what makes them really compelling, at least before you find out who Revan is. Because it's like, how the heck did they build all this stuff from nothing? All they did was take a few soldiers from the Republic and go kick the Mandalorians in their asses, right? So where did that all come from? So
Kid named Starforge.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know. Well, you don't know about the Starforge until later. So I think that's what. There wasn't a lot to go off at first, but they become an interesting figure, and especially once you figure out who they are, that's when people really want to know more. It's honestly a shame that there wasn't a ton of stuff for Revan until like the comics and books that came after the fact. So if you're just basing on this game alone and you want to learn more about Revan, you will be disappointed, but it does mean that there's an entire universe of lore to catch up on, so you can get more Revan goodness. And I mean, with that cool armor, you can't go wrong with that, right?
And as someone whose name is one letter off of his, he's the best character ever with no bias. And the mask, it pissed me off that they never let you wear the mask. That was like one of the things. I saw the mask and it's like, oh, you go and get Revan's mask and armor. It's like, I can't wear it.
He doesn't know.
I'm like, I want.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
Well, I mean, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
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 He
Yeah.
doesn't know.
Does he
For
know?
Revan, does anybody else want to intrude? Before I don't have a whole lot, but what I do have, I think it's got.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton to go off, so it's okay if you don't have. But Wiggz, how do you feel about Revan as a concept, as a character?
He exists.
It exists. Groundbreaking. Absolute cinema.
Yeah. Well, like, he's mostly a pretty blank slate. While I won't go into Knights of the Old Republic 2, Mitra Surik is a much more interesting player character because she has way more background history and history that she shares with other characters in that game. Because it's not just like it's like, oh, I don't know who you are. Oh, I don't know who you are. There's multiple characters in that game that know exactly who you are and treat you like that, which is what makes it really interesting. But back to KOTOR. Well, it's like the interesting part of the blank slate for Revan is that he's split into two, right? It's basically within the whole context of the game. It's this basically like hope and redemption versus despair in a sense. Especially in how, because Drew Karpyshyn really wrote the characters interestingly in KOTOR, where it's really not a plot heavy game, but it's a very character heavy game. The characters are always telling you what their reactions are to any of your decisions. Especially if you're evil. There's people bitching on your ear all the goddamn time, which is sometimes it's really funny. And then sometimes you talk to them, like you talk to Bastila, you talk to Juhani, where it's like, especially Juhani, which is what I really like it, where it's like, you gave me this freedom, this redemption, you gave me this second chance, but I don't see that in you with others. You treat them terribly, you kill them, that part I really like, and I really do like how in KOTOR, more than a lot of other BioWare games, they're frequently commenting on how you compose yourself, how you treat other people. But it's really kind of like, if you're light or good, it's characterized between like fate, which is like the Sith path to me. Because like fate and destiny are they're very similar concepts, but they have different connotations. Destiny is like the Jedi, the light side. You were destined to be evil and then be redeemed and then destroy the Sith. While fate is like, you were fated to be this, then try to be redeemed, but you're fated to be evil and to basically not fulfill the prophecy, but like to complete the circle and go back to being evil Revan, and then causing the Sith Empire to win in this game. So that's basically what I got about Revan. He's a blank slate, but I think what he does for the characters around him is actually really interesting.
Well, I don't know. I don't see Revan as a blank slate. Neither the previous evil Revan or the memory cleared player character Revan, because first and foremost, they're one and the same. They're same person. But even if we're just going off the fact that they had your memories wiped, you still have the experiences that other characters build up, or that they mention, like how Karth will talk about how you have all these skills, and it's frankly weird how you're stationed with us. So you're not really a blank slate character. You do have some form of background.
Let me explain myself in my drunken slur. A blank slate is an XP for the player because you are an established character. But through that blank slate, you get to choose fate or destiny in the end.
Oh,
okay. If that makes any sense.
It's like how I mentioned it earlier. Like it gives you backstory in order to connect you to that universe and the storyline, but it still leaves enough of it open at that time. Obviously, Revan's had his lore filled in since the game released. It gives you enough freedom to insert your own narrative or shape the narrative in a way that you see fit. And I think Revan as well is I find him to be a sympathetic character. Like, you see this conflict with the Mandalorians and everything, and it's a really, I like the complexity of it, because I think he's both right and wrong. Obviously wrong, he let his passions take over, he falls to the dark side, which wasn't his intention. He didn't go out seeking to become a Sith. He fell to the dark side because he didn't listen to the warnings that the Jedis gave. At the same time, the Jedis were wrong in ignoring or downplaying the threat that the Mandalorians posed. I think it serves as a really, like Tom said, a blank slate, but I think he's a really sympathetic character as well, and I think it justifies it in the narrative as well, because you can kind of justify either side of it. You can justify your character falling back to the dark side, or you can justify the redemption. I think it's really well done. It's one of the, again, obviously I like him because my name is almost the exact fucking same, but I do think the character is really well written, and I love the extended lore that was given to him and the games and whatnot that followed after.
I'd say herein lies the biggest disagreement, is because, Andrew, your argument, as far as I understand it, is you're not a blank slate because there's a pre-existing character and you are playing as Revan. Is that more or less correct?
Yeah. And even if we're going off the whole, you're a different person because your memory is wiped. Well, no, because there's still a bit of history there with you being this somewhat known figure within the Republic. So you're not a fully blank slate character. There's still a little bit of that history there, and you can't you still can't divorce the fact that you were and are Revan, right? So
I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, and I'm also gonna tell you why you're right.
Wiggz, go ahead, because I'm in the same boat. I'm like, you're wrong, but you're right.
So in as much as, yes, Revan. And this was kind of the distinction I was trying to make earlier. Revan is his own character. Mm-hmm. You are correct. You're not a blank slate, which is why I kind of brought up you are a blank slate, but you also have choice, and you're also not a blank slate.
Right.
Because insofar as you become a bit of a blank slate, yes, your character has history, but your character's been fucking brainwashed, bro. He doesn't got shit. He doesn't know dick from fuck. And
for
lack of a better term.
That's a good point.
So for all intents and purposes, when you start the game, you are a blank slate. It comes to the confrontation with Malak at that point. More of what you said takes takes part in it, which is like you have this history. Because I would agree with you more if you had in the game where people like actively recognize you for Revan and try to tell you like, hey man, what the fuck are you doing here? And you're like, what are you talking about? I'm Biggs Chillier. I'm just LeBro. I don't know.
Well, hold on. Wait a minute. The Jedi do recognize you. They know full well that you are Revan.
That's because they're the ones who fucking brainwashed you, bro.
Yes,
Shut up.
You just
Let
said
me
that
finish.
no one recognizes
Let me
you, but they-
finish.
No. Wiggz was saying like people coming up to you and pointing it out, especially people that you wronged, like coming up and being like, "Hey, you're not fucking welcome here."
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
So
the Jedi are
that's
concealing it intentionally because that's part of their plan.
Yes. That's more of the point I was trying to make. But when you get to the confrontation with Malak, at that point is when you can choose to kind of continue the blank slate, knowing the previous history of this character you're playing, which is Revan. But you're choosing to continue that along the blank slate timeline, which is like, no, I'm not that person anymore. I am this new person. You know, that guy did some fucked up shit. I'm not that guy anymore. I don't do that no more. As opposed to kind of changing the narrative, as Tom brought in as well earlier, where you're saying, actually, I am still that guy. You know, I still want to be evil. I still want to take over the galaxy. You know, I'm going to crush the Republic. At which point you then switch from that blank slate character more into being the continuation of the previous Revan. You may not remember everything, but at that point, he ceases to become a blank slate because he's continuing his previous character arc. Whereas if you choose the light side, that continues the blank slate character with the history of Revan. But overall, he would maintain the status as a blank slate because you have that choice.
Yeah, it's the difference
My rant is
between
done.
like fate and destiny.
Yes.
Destiny in a positive
much so.
connotation of like fulfilling the loop, you know, striking down the Sith, becoming the Jedi you were always supposed to be, versus fate, which you're fated to repeat the mistakes that you did. And it's a very natural way that the game does it, because even though it's cartoonish, like the evil shit that you do in that game, but the way that the characters react to you doing it, and bitching at you all the damn time that you keep doing it. But it is very as a player, you from the get-go, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be an evil son of a bitch. Like, I'm just gonna shock these people to death. But it, like, as a character in game, it's this gradual corruption of like you, and then eventually it culminates on Lihan or Rakata Prime or whatever, where it's like, yeah, you make your choice where it's like, I will take back what was mine, or you will save Bastila from herself and, you know, fulfill the thing. But
you know, as a quick little sidebar, even against my own argument there, because evil Revan, as you play through him in the game, is not the same as evil Revan prior.
I was gonna point that out. I was like, the dark side decisions after,
based off of all of like the previous lore and everything like that, and character experiences facing Revan and whatnot, like Canderous even, you know, stealing from KOTOR 2 a little bit and whatnot, is that Revan was a bad guy, but was not necessarily a bad guy. Where Revan was willing to sacrifice a planet to save a system, which in the Jedi's eyes makes him bad because you needed to be willing to save, you know, the crackhead begging for money on the street.
But necessary things during war guy, rather than like how your decisions are like when you make the dark decision, which is like, nah, I see a child with a lollipop and I'm feeling quite famished. It's like, no, he wasn't like that guy. He's not kicking toddlers in orphans.
So old Revan is a pragmatist, whereas new evil Revan can just be an out and out vile villain. So does that mean there's two characters then? There's pre-memory wipe Revan, then post-memory wipe Revan.
Well, that's kind of my entire point.
Oh, okay.
Is you as new Revan are the blank slate. There is a pre-existing pre-Revan, and you can kind of choose to continue the evil thing, but even then, you're not the same Revan.
Well, doesn't that kind of fly in the face of the whole redemption angle? Because it's not redeeming the previous character. That previous character's dead for all intents and purposes.
If you interpret it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view, it's the Jedi.
I slams my Padawan's orange Putang Padawan all the time.
There is
me tell you about Ahsoka.
Look at
there is no
She
fate but
basically
what we
wore
make
no
for
clothes.
Oh
ourselves.
God, no! Stop right there.
Man, that one comic where she was wearing the slave outfit, just saying. But
So look at that. You guys had more to say about Revan than you thought.
I did. And it was your fault, Andrew.
That's just because you started. That's because you started arguing with me.
But anyway, it's funny. We go from that, and then I'm like looking at my note. You know what's the first thing I have in my notes? Well, the first thing I have is like, it's got that BioWare 50-50 where some characters are aight and the other ones are goated. Bracket.
Yeah.
Most BioWare games are like that. Which is true. There's lots of BioWare games where it's like half of the cast are just incredible. They're wonderful. I love them. And then the rest are like, whatever. This game's like that.
The rest, you sit there and play the game again, and you're like, oh yeah. You're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember
that's why I never
now.
bring you on to party win. Just saying. But, yeah. So like, I basically start from on my notes like who I least care for to who I care the most, which is funny, and ended up being Revan.
Is that why Revan is at the end?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, sure, they got him. But the first one's like T3 because he's literally just a droid.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't really have much to do. And in that sense,
He basically acts like R2-D2. Let's be frank. Like
Yeah.
half the time when they write droid characters, especially like the astromech droids, they literally just copy R2. Oh, he's spunky and kind of has an attitude.
The thing is that we live in a time where Jedi comes out and we have a BD1 that's such a cute, like, genuine character that complements Cal Kestis, but that's a different game. But
Yes.
it's like one of those. That's one thing I really picked up on. It's like, damn, T3, like, you ain't shit. you're my spike pig to like hack into the thing.
T3 is very mid.
But
Yeah, I didn't use T3 like at all.
yeah,
Like even as a support utility droid, there's other characters who can fill that role, and you get dialogue. So there's no point in using T3.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Besides,
what?
R5D4 is the best astromech droid.
Yeah. But and then after that, I got Zalbar. Who I think out of
That's
the
fair.
actual companions, I think he's the most least interesting one.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he's a huge missed opportunity. You bring him
Yes.
to Kashyyyk, and he has all this history. He's got all this shit or whatever. He knows all this stuff about the Wookiees, and he's held hostage the entire time. He's held hostage the entire time.
You do get that one like semi-Kino interaction with the other slavers like on your way to this Wookiee settlement, where it's like the guy's talking about how they just had to kill this Wookiee slave because he was acting up, and you can be like, does that make you mad, Zalbar?
Yeah, it's like
I bet
you
it does. And he's like,
Yeah.
do you want me to kill these people? And you're like, yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ham.
But that's the best part of the whole
But
planet.
yeah, but you are right. Yeah, you're correct that it never continues from there. You don't get to take him into the Shadowlands to interact with Freyr and him
Yeah.
to like make his apology then and be like, let's go set this right. Instead, it's like, yeah, he just chills out with fucking Chundar the entire time.
Yeah.
And then they have their big kind of redemption at the tail end of it.
That reunion is kind of just like a cop out. Like they don't do enough with it. It's like
Yeah.
what, 3 dialogue options, and then after you interact with the 2, he does have a somewhat interesting, very very tiny, like arc when after he's spent some time with Chundar, and you go back to him, he's all like, oh, I've heard his arguments, and they kind of make sense, and it's like, that's kind of interesting, but
Can you elaborate?
anyway.
And then it's like, no.
Yeah.
Can I see?
No.
Anyway, let's kill Chundar now so I can get his sword.
Actually, I need those dark side points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're doing? Okay. Oh, Look at this
But,
guy, the Zerka
yeah,
core
no,
still
just-
over here.
Yeah, like RH,
Just
like 193
Zolbar
or
is
whatever.
just-
Instead of Kashyyyk. Or sorry, not Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk.
Kashik. Oh my
Screw
god,
off with
Kashik.
this.
I'm gonna
Done.
get to that later. I'm gonna get to that later.
Done.
Yeah, but I would agree that Zolbar generally is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
He's a pretty big heavy hitter because he starts with pretty high strength early on. Let's go further into my point earlier about how melee combat is just superior. But he still kind of sucks because he can't wear armor, so his defense is always going to be really, really poor compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there are ways to make him good, but he's still never going to be as good as like Hanhar in KOTOR 2.
Yeah.
Hanhar is
Yeah.
Hanhar is fucking sick as a companion for combat anyway.
Yeah. After that, I got Mission. And
You
it's
don't like Mission. Interesting.
I like Mission better
No,
than
Mission's
Zalbar,
fucking
but I
annoying.
like the
That's
other
not saying
characters more.
much.
Well, there's only like 6 people.
I feel like Mission should have had more too.
Yeah.
I always feel like the Mission shit was like very limited, and it's like I feel like I would like. It's not like I hate her. I kind of joke about hating her and just because she has that young
Yeah.
bratty personality in the game.
Sure.
But like honestly, it's just like I wanted more from her. Like, and they don't really give it to you. Again, with her and Zalbar, it's a really big missed
Yeah,
opportunity.
and that's the thing.
Because I thought her whole backstory and everything was
This
really
is like here I got written. It's like better than Zalbar, but not by much. Love the naivete and like the good heart. I do like that about like Mission. That's like she's pretty naive, but she has a really good heart. I really do like that about her character. And then really like what you can do as dark side to her at the end of the game.
Oh, you guys. See that? Like that's why I would
And
have
it's like-
a little bit of issues with doing a
That's the
dark side
most
playthrough
interesting
because
thing
she.
that Zalbar
I
can
know,
do the
I know,
whole
but
game.
she's going. Her quest is her, coming to terms with like a family abandonment, right? And then she comes to see you as like this older sibling figure, and then you can fucking backstab her.
That's
all
what makes
over
it
again.
so
It's
good.
just. Oh,
That's
it's
what makes it so good.
the dark
painful.
side.
It would only been better if you could groom her into. Oops. Did I say
What
that?
is she, like a new pro? You've already got Tali. What do you need her
Yeah.
too?
Hey, listen, she's referred to as younger, but her age is never specified. So legally speaking,
Legally speaking, no,
Barely legal in most systems.
and the outer rim, everything goes, man.
She's a 3,000-year-old elf. Excuse me.
she's actually a
3,000-year-old
Twi'lek.
Actually, Ricotta Prime's actually within the limits of the Sith Empire, so we evil.
In the Sith Empire, there is no age of consent. So
True.
that's true dark
let's
side.
see.
Dark side.
We got much more to say. Moving on. Moving on. I got Jolie Bindi,
Yeah,
Bindo.
that's fair.
which is fine.
Jolie was
Billy
actually
Ben
I like
Jolie was good. I enjoy him as a companion, as a side character. I feel like he was kind of Kreia was what they wanted Jolie to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Just nicer. Whereas like Kreia is mean grandma.
Kind grandpa,
But
me
that was-
grandma.
Jolie
That
is
was-
literally fucking unk, dude. Jolie is literally fucking unk.
But that was
Jolie.
definitely what they were going for with the character was like, yeah, this more philosophical, hey, I'm this old bastard. I was never even like a Jedi Knight. I was only a Padawan or something like that. And you're like, what the fuck? And then it's like, yeah, I got my wife to become a Jedi, and then she was a crazy bitch, and she tried stabbing me, so I killed her. And you're like, that's fucked up, man. And he's like, yeah.
See, I didn't get
But
that.
he's
I
like-
didn't interact with him enough to get
No.
that conclusion of that whole bit. So I just know he tells kooky stories.
Yeah, I like one. I think he's got the best side quest out of all the companion quests. Because
Oh, yeah, I agree with
love
that.
The murder mystery on Manam.
yeah, where you got it's like, oh, my husband is like, you fucking geezer, whatever.
Quick little rant. They fucking recycled that for Andromeda, 100%.
Oh yeah.
When?
Yeah, they recycled that quest. It's on whatever that first planet you land on it.
Oh,
They absolutely
That's so
you
true.
know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's on
Yeah.
Eos. It's like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Eos, yeah.
That is right. It's like the same thing where it's like, yeah, you were accused
It's the
accused
exact
of
same
what,
thing.
abandoning the colony or something like that, or like some firefight. Or something like that. Damn, I didn't even think about it.
He gets accused of murdering his superior officer or something like that. And then it's like he did try, I think, but didn't actually do it, or maybe he did do it or something like that.
Yeah, it was
And
like
so
very
he's
morally
technically
ambiguous.
still
yeah.
culpable. Yeah. Yeah. So like, actually speaking on that, just as a quick sidebar, that's one of the most interesting side quests. Actually, is Jolie, is because there's so many different ways you can do it, where you can, and I appreciated this so much, was you can be morally ambiguous as a light side player. There is a way to get Jolie's buddy released, while still not like gaining dark points or not gaining light points, but you can. There is a way where it's like you just essentially bend the truth, where you just kind of like dance around the fact of whether he killed her or not, and you can get him released even though he's like 100% guilty and he did do it. There is a way where you just basically present the case in such a way where you win the judges over to being like, fuck it, whatever, you're free to go, even though you know that he's guilty. But you're kind of doing it both as a favor for Jolie, and to him as a Republic war hero and everything like that. And I really, really, really appreciated that. And it's like the only example of that in the entirety of KOTOR, where you can play kind of on both sides. And I really appreciated that.
Okay, well,
Yeah, because that was kind of the whole thing about Revan, and the thing that I think they missed in KOTOR as a whole. It's like Revan was like kind of gray, like not necessarily that he called himself a Jedi or anything, but he kind of is like, he wasn't necessarily bad, he wasn't necessarily good, but then
you're
it's
not
like,
allowed
you
to
don't
say
really
that
have-
word here.
Don't.
You're not allowed to say that word here.
You don't like it? I love.
Oh
You're
no.
a Jedi or you're
Gay.
not. That's it. It's done.
Well, what if I found an order without the sins of both?
oh my gosh. Go ahead.
But I do think there
Call
should have been a bit more
yourself Glub
nuance.
Shitto.
Like, definitely
Done.
in more of this.
Okay, I'm gonna sound like a complete dumbass, but since for Jolie's quest, we were playing the defendant, I was operating under the assumption that that the guy was innocent, and I was fully committed to that belief. So at the end, when I got him released,
Jolie's buddy totally killed that bitch.
yeah, I mean, because at the end, I did get him released because I went through the whole rigmarole of getting all the stories and stuff like that and finding inconsistencies and stuff. So I thought, oh yeah, no, that makes sense that he'd be innocent. But at the end, when it's like, okay, well, if he's innocent, who did it? There's no clear answer. That's when I was like, I might have done something wrong. So that just further cements how much of an idiot I am.
But anyway, I have him here. Love him being a grumpy geezer and being the center, but giving you shit all the same. And then after this, wins award for best BioWare black character.
At least he doesn't cheat on you, Shaken.
It's true, man.
My man stayed faithful. It wasn't until
we
he
hate
turned out to be a
Jacob in this
crazy
house.
bitch.
And you know what's the final thing? Basically, Dracula from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Is it the same actor?
A scrape and a lick.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my. Anyway, next we got Juhani.
Moving on.
Juhani. I love Juhani. I love it's not the anime catgirl shit, but I do love the accent is what gets me every
You
time.
love the Romanian Russian accent.
I love yeah. That's why I love Tali so much. Quite literally.
I feel that. I feel that.
What do I got? I got my waifu, but I love the idea of someone being redeemed and brought along for the journey. Subverted with the dark side. Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Oh right, because she can be dark side, right?
No, she can't actually. I don't think
you just kill her. Oh.
Yeah, you just kill her.
No, if you're dark side, you kill her in the grove.
Yeah, if
And
you're really
even
dark
though-
side.
And this is a interesting kind of I don't know if it's an inconsistency, but this is something with Juhani's side quest that I noticed is because her entire side quest is you talking her back from the dark side and being like, "Don't kill these people, Juhani. We've been down this road before." But so like if you save her in the grove and then choose to become dark side later on and everything like that, you still end up killing her. Even though she has the dark side tendencies and everything like that, because you redeemed her, she will never fully go back, as far as I'm aware. And you're gonna end up killing her.
you always end up killing her, which is a shame because
That's
and
interesting.
that's honestly kind of a issue I have with like all of these, and that there should be some characters that by the end of it are like, no, I'm good, I'm not convinced of this or whatever. The thing is that in the universe, Revan was a highly charismatic guy. That's why so many Jedi went to him. It's one of those things where like, if the game, and this is the limitations of the thing, I think if they did it now, they would do it very differently. But where you should be able to convince pretty much all of your companions, except for like Karth or like maybe even Mission or something like that, that you're like to follow you and to like subvert them and to corrupt them to the dark side, if you will. Like that, I think is a missed opportunity. And it's one of those with Juhani where with Juhani, especially with her quest, you can make her give in. You can make her like, it's like, oh, just kill that guy. Oh, just do that. Like give in to the passion and things like that. Where in the end, it should reward you where it's like, you know, it's like, I gave you your freedom back. I give you your life. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm going to be.
And I would say that this is more a technological limitation because, like I said, I did a back-to-back KOTOR, like, full playthrough with 1 and 2. And I noticed that in KOTOR 2 as well, where if you're playing as a male outcast, I know is canon, but anyway, so you can get the handmaiden, Brianna, on your squad. And she is, like, one of the big... she is one of the 2, like, major romance options besides, like, Visa. However, you can get her to go, like, if you do the influence and everything right, you can get her to go, like, she's full evil, dark side, she's training as, like, a dark Jedi Guardian and everything like that. She rides your dick. She's, like, fucking in. And yet, if you take her as a companion and you're evil to anybody else, that'll cause you to lose it. And so that's why I would say it's a technological limitation, because it's a similar thing where Mitra Surik, as a character as well, is canonically, like, similar to Revan, maybe not on the same scale, but is a natural leader that draws people to them and influences them in certain ways. And it's not just Handmaiden that you can see it with. You can see it with Baldur, like some of these other characters where, and in KOTOR especially as well, you're supposed to be like this person that they're all looking up to, that they're following along with, and you can, in KOTOR 2 at least, you can kind of convince them towards being like more evil. The only person that it really works with is At. But with a lot of these side characters, it's like somebody who is as charismatic as this said, that caused like half of the Jedi Order to follow them into war against the explicit commands of the Jedi Council, would have no problem convincing somebody like who's hanging around with them.
Yeah, convincing his closest circle.
Yeah, to be like, actually, we're doing the right thing here by murdering Malak and taking over the galaxy, because we're going to ensure that there's peace. Karth, your homeworld of Telos was fucked up by all of this. And why did that happen? Because there was 2 opposing sides. If you side with me, there is no more opposing sides, because it's only going to be my side. You know, like, he'd have no problem convincing of them of that. But the game doesn't allow for that. The game only allows for, and I even brought it up earlier, where these people are seeing you being evil the entire fucking time. And then when you're like, yes, I am the evil McNasty bad man. And then they're like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, shit. This guy's bad.
She's like, you're telling me this for the first time.
Literally.
Yeah.
There's a much better way they could have done that. Tom, I agree that in modern with modern technologies and gaming programs and everything like that, I definitely think that could potentially be one of the big differences that we'll see if that remake ever actually comes out, is that you may actually be able to affect the story in such a way that your companions can actually be in, because that was the big part of the draw for KOTOR 2, was like, you know, you can visually see it because Handmaiden will become Goth Handmaiden. Baldur will essentially turn into Darth fucking Maul. It's something that they were trying with, and they were trying to get there, but they just couldn't quite do it. Not talking about other technical issues that were involved with KOTOR 2 and the various problems that it had in its development. But it was something that they were aware of and they wanted to do. But just at the time, game development, especially with the RPGs, because they were some of the first ones doing it, it just wasn't available then. However, now, oh fuck, we could see some real interesting shit coming out of there.
Yeah, for sure. And even, I could even add, for Juhani specifically, even in like a new thing, they could still have it that she would reject you at the end. Because in giving a new life, giving you that, and like relearning what it means to be a Jedi, it could actually be a really powerful moment that even like with all your stuff, even with like trying to convince her as hard as you can, she still rejects you. And that's like a genuine like tragedy to the player.
And that would be honestly amazing. I would actually love to see that if you were like, say you like if you redeemed her from the dark side and then later on became dark, and then she kind of flipped the script. That would be actually very interesting to see, where you're like, come on, like you gave in once, you can do it again. You know, we can do this, we can do that, Juhani. Especially if they chose to expand like romance dynamics and everything, and Juhani became an optional like romance character. And say, you brought into that, like Juhani was your weird cat girl girlfriend or whatever. And you're like, come on, you were this way once, you can be again. And she's like, no, and you're the one that saved me from that, so I'll save you from you. And then you're like, well, then I guess that's it. And you're gonna die. Like, that would be, tragic and horrifying, but at the same time, oh my god, would that be keynote? That'd be fascinating. I would love to
it'd be so good, like dude. It'd be awesome. Anyways, are we done with Juhani?
Would just be a blubbering mess. Yes.
Did we want to talk about like
her
quest or anything like that? Okay.
I don't remember her quest so much, apart from basically say, you should kill these people. I think it'd be funny.
Her quest is just her encountering the guy who like killed her dad and was wanted to enslave her, but the Jedi saved her first, and then so the guy dies anyways. But it's kind of the way in which he dies, whether it's like Juhani is like super violent and evil.
Some quick context to the audience out there. I literally just saw Waves boot up Knights of the Old Republic.
I've kind of been playing it on and off this entire time. I'm not even kidding.
The discussion. See, this is why you should subscribe and listen to the Tom the Chosen One anything, because it'll be so good, it'll distract you from my tripe, and it makes you just play the damn game.
That's right.
This is true. Tom actually controls my every thought and motion. I no longer like any Chaos faction in Warhammer, and I love
Is that even what I said? Is that what I said? No,
but I said
that Magnus did nothing wrong.
I just wanted to say that Juhani got really... I was sold on Juhani when I took her to Korriban, before I had learned about all of her backstory. So when she was protesting about having to disguise as a slave, I thought it was just general aversion. And then when I learned after the fact that it's because she was a slave, and I was essentially forcing her back into that traumatic experience unknowingly, that's when it got... That's when I was like, oh, okay.
Andrew was sitting there like, you stupid woke bitch. Stop virtue signaling.
Exactly. Like, get over yourself. We got a galaxy to save.
Well, you weren't a slave. What are you fucking upset about? You virtue... Oh, slavery's so bad. We get it.
Get over it. Jeez.
But, Anyway, moving on. Next I got Canderous, which is a character I really like.
I love Canderous.
I like Canderous, but his potential as a character is basically like he's cool, but he's as cool as he is because he's split between 2 games and how he goes from where he is in KOTOR to being Mandalore in KOTOR 2. Spoiler for a nearly 20-year-old game again, but whatever,
we're
shut
not
up.
talking about that one. We're talking about the first one.
Anyways.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Like, Canderous is the goodest boy, but it is very much so. Like I said, when I was a kid, I played KOTOR 2 first. So I didn't have the history. I didn't know who the fuck this guy was and everything. I had a reverse fucking, hold on, wait a minute. Something don't feel right. That's when I played KOTOR and I heard Canderous and I was like, is that the same fucking voice actor? And then I realized it was the same character playing Glory. And he is great across the expanded media, including the Revan book by Drew Karpyshyn, KOTOR 2, and the original KOTOR. If you just took the original KOTOR, he's still compelling in his own way. But not nearly to the extent as when you have that development across multiple different forms of media, across years and everything like that.
Yeah. He's a great lens into Mandalorians, because before we only had, Boba and Mando? And Boba and Jango, sorry. Until then,
Correct.
so.
Before all this Baby Yoda bullshit.
Yeah.
Baby yogurt Boba. Baby Yeet, Baby Yeet.
Oh, he's such a cute
He's
little
one of the
baby.
few
Now that
range
guy's
characters.
54 years old. Put his ass to work.
Gosh. That's right. He's one of the few range characters who can hold his own until the end game, so I brought him along a lot because of that, and I like his dynamic.
Until you realize that he actually is spec for melee as well, and you just use him as a
until
melee
you learn that as well.
companion.
No, I brought him along. I liked his banter with Karth and
He has
Bastila.
great banter with Karth. He has amazing
Oh, yeah,
banter
absolutely.
with those guys.
Absolutely.
Garth, it's literally fucking Soy Jack versus Data Chad. Like, oh man, I'm just feeling so sensitive right now. And Candace is like, shut the fuck up and kill.
Literally.
Garth is a sensitive young man.
Vote blue no matter who. Canderous. Where's my Basilisk war
No
doing?
matter who.
But I got
Yeah,
written.
no, that's what I would say about Canderous.
Anyway, I got written. Great morally ambiguous character. Love hearing about the many different war stories, which are awesome. Especially the Basilisk War droid. That shit's awesome. I don't care. But also
fuck yeah.
hearing how Revan and Malak saved the Republic from the perspective of the villain of that war, in a sense.
Absolutely. I love all the discussions, and to divert into KOTOR 2 for a second, like even talking to Canderous as one of Revan's generals and everything, or actually we can keep this in KOTOR. If you talk to Canderous after everyone finds out that you're Revan, it's like quite a script flip, and you can be like, "Why are you still hanging out with me, bro? Like I fucking kicked your ass." And he's like, "No, you were strong. Like you were the one who fucked us up. We had a mission and we were going for it, and you were the one who like outsmarted us and you kicked our ass, and like I respect that shit." Like in KOTOR 2
Yeah,
it
I'm a
gets
sucker
expanded
for warrior
upon,
cultures.
but like even in KOTOR you can see it after the Revan.
The respect.
Respect the growth too. When he realizes, or when he comes to acknowledge that fighting for the sake of fighting on its own isn't going to allow them to survive into the next era. So he grows and changes while spending his time with their would-be conqueror, essentially.
Absolutely.
Jeez.
Absolutely. Especially when you bring them. This is going into 2, when we could talk about that one day. It's kind of messed up if you bring Canderous to Malachor. It's like, hey, here's that super weapon that killed you. It's like bringing your Japanese girl to Hiroshima. It's like, yeah, this is where we drop the bomb, bitch.
Pretty much.
But no, I really do like Canderous because it's like, it's one of the few times where you get to hear about Revan and Malak in a way that isn't just, oh, they the bad guys, man. They bad.
All these atrocities and stuff like that.
It's like
Yeah.
no. It's like we come from a culture where it's like, yeah, we kill and pillage. So the fact that some of you guys actually did the thing that you needed to do garners great respect, and they're not as bad as you would think of them. Is a really interesting point, but I will say that most of Canderous, as a character as a whole, he's more interesting split between two games, and you get to see his characterization grow. But
no, it's incomplete in just the one thing. You kind of need to experience the other stuff to get his full breadth.
Oh, I forgot how scary it is to alt-tab when you're playing a 20-year-old game on a computer. Jesus Christ, the whole fucking aspect ratio just changed, and I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Rookie move.
And then sends me a message, just like, my thing died.
Local man alt-tabs a 20-year-old game.
But, anyway, moving on.
Who's next?
Moving on.
Next character I got here is HK47.
The goat.
His goat.
The goat.
His
Literally.
goat. Like,
Yes.
Hello, meatbag.
he's pretty simple, but how he's written, how he talks, he's probably my favorite character in the whole game. Just because he's such a goofy little chuddy. Always wanting to kill people.
It's just quite literally, if no one got me, I know HK47 got me.
True.
Quite literally.
It's just the charm of being like, state.
Yeah, statement. This guy is a
like
bitch-ass master.
Elcor and Mass
He's
Effect
proto
have a
Elcor.
similar charm, but not exactly
Query,
the same.
are you retarded?
Yeah, like, query, are you retarded, master? Like,
There's so many.
Master, is Master retarded?
Master, I think we should just leave this bitch for dead. It's like literally half the quests that he's on. It's awesome. Like that guy on Tatooine
Master,
and the.
I suggest you shut down, sit put, and wait for rescue. Granted, that's KOTOR 2, but
Yeah, but
no, HK is fucking fantastic.
HK is fantastic. Yeah.
He's
The only
amazing.
thing I have here that I don't like is I don't like the Revan convenience, or whatever.
Like, yeah, the reveal.
That reveals
the
like
coincidence.
it's really contrived. It's like you could have
is-
just been
it
like
is
some
incredibly
assassin
stupid.
droid and it's whatever, your quirked up droid boy, whatever. Busting it down and assassin style. But
Assassin style.
but it's like actually you were my master. It's like, come on, dude, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Honestly,
I feel it didn't add anything to the plot, so I knocked points off of it. But at the same time, I guess and the mission and Zalbar weren't connected to Revan. So yeah, I don't know. It was just unnecessary then.
I will say the one funny part about it that kind of washes it clean is just the fact that it's like, why do you call everybody meatbag? And it's like, well, because I called Malak a meatbag when I was your droid,
Yeah.
and he got really
Yeah.
annoyed, and you thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's
So
like
now I
that
just
is
call
true.
everybody
that is-
meatbag.
Again, why he's the goat.
And that almost pretty much justifies it.
Yeah.
But
having him be
That's
the
that's
translator.
My hand washing of it.
The BioWare documentary of making KOTOR comes out, and they literally are like, yeah, we needed a reason to have him call people meatbags, and we went with that, so we had to write it, so we made him his droid. I'd take it. I'd excuse it. That wipes the slate clean. Just for one joke, writing a whole character
boy.
around it.
But yeah,
I thought it was pretty fun how they made him the translator for the Sand people.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, the
And-
Tusken Raiders. We can't say that anymore.
he's a very like reluctant one too. He's just like, we should just kill them all.
Not yet, HK. Not yet. We gotta finish the quest first. Then we can farm the XP.
We need to find out where the oil is.
Oh boy. Already. Anyway, moving on. The next hour is just like Tusken Raider
Moving
noises.
on.
So we're actually going to be switching to the Tusken Raider language for the rest of this podcast. Thank you for anyone who can't, thanks for listening to anyone who can't
Moving
understand.
on.
Yeah. Next one I got is Karth,
Karth.
which is Karth is a very interesting character. He's not.
I hate him so much while
You
also
hate
loving
him?
him so
Okay, I have to hear
very.
this.
I hate him while loving him so very dearly. funny.
Oh, okay.
He's so fantastic while also being such a little bitch. It pisses me off.
Yeah, he's an annoying whiny bitch, but at the same time, like, I love him and I
How
will
can
die
you say
for
he's a
him.
little bitch when he literally guns down his son, screaming, "Down you
I
go!"
was gonna say one of the funniest things is getting him to kill Dustil. Down you go. Especially because it's so easy to fuck up that interaction.
Oh, I fucked it up.
It's so simple. That's why I always save right before it, because like there's like one correct option and like 7 bad options that all result in Dustil getting fucking shot by his dad.
Yeah. Down you go.
It's a missed opportunity how that never comes up
Down
again,
you
but
go.
it is fucking
Yeah,
hilarious.
and he doesn't talk about it. He's like, damn, what a shame. He's like, you know,
we
maybe
could've done
Dustil was
something.
right, man. Just saying.
It's like, you're like, bitch, what do you want about?
Also, in terms of like, I would say that one of the reasons why I enjoy him so much is because Raphael Zabarge is actually like a great voice
absolutely.
actor.
Oh my God,
Absolutely,
fantastic.
dude.
I enjoyed
yeah.
him. I enjoyed him playing Karth in Mass Effect as Caden,
Yep.
where he's once again a whiny bitch. You know, Raphael Zabarge is just a very talented actor. Obviously, yeah, I've met him in real life.
He's so cool.
You know, no shade against Mark Meer, but Raphael Zabarge was way nicer to talk to.
That's fair.
And he was a much more pleasant, friendly person, and his performances are always like really good, even if you kind of low-key hate the characters. He's still just really good.
It's more like it's like, you know, Karth is probably right, but you're kind of pissed at him for calling out your bullshit. Like, he's one of those friends that you need to have around because they'll call you out on your shit, but at the same time, you're like, shut up, you little
Shut the
bitch.
fuck up.
Let me make my
Well,
mistakes.
of course I know him.
Let me make my mistakes,
He's me.
damn it. Of course
One
I know.
thing I like, if you play Darkside, he's vindicated. He literally vindicates himself in his suspicion, which is kind of like
Yes.
messed up. But it's I guess part of the story, even if you aren't evil, because Salth Kareth tells him that, where it's like, oh, you didn't even know.
Yeah.
But I got written down here, probably one of the best BioWare starter companions, which I do agree with.
Yes.
Out of like
Yes.
most
100%.
BioWare games have this sort of like, oh, your first 2 starter companions are really kind of, they're not bad, but they're not as interesting as the others. Karth is probably up there as one of the most interesting. And then,
Yeah. Actually.
For sure.
let's see, character arc ties really well with Rev and Twist and Trust. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's basically what I gotta say.
Yeah.
So, it's really cool. Yeah, shout out to Raphael Zabarge. Shout out to Mark Meer as well. I didn't see you at a con. I saw you at a restaurant in Edmonton one time, and I didn't want to bother you. Well, I did say, it's like, I liked you in Mass Effect anyways, bye.
You weren't as
probably
cool
don't remember
as
me.
Andrew.
Yeah.
You weren't as cool as Andrew, getting him to say, "Report to the ship." Well, bang. Okay.
Yeah. Report to the ship as soon as possible. Well, bang, okay.
Bang, okay.
Yeah, but it's not, I'm not going to say that in the middle of a
quick,
restaurant. A Chinese buffet or something like that.
Say the line!
Quick context for anybody listening. That was because Andrew and I were both separately attending a Comic-Con where both Raphael Zabarge and Mark Meer were present, and ran into each other at the Mark Meer stand. And then I was like, man, this Mark Meer line is really fucking long. Raphael Zabarge has nobody in his line. I'm gonna go over there, and then proceeded to talk to Raphael Zabarge for like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I should have done that too, frankly.
Yeah,
But
missed out.
moving on.
Missed out.
Moving on. We got
Moving on.
Waves is gonna take this one by storm, and we got Bastila.
Oh boy.
Pop off.
Yeah. Pop off.
It's your time.
Well, don't pop off like that.
I mean,
I'm just saying. Right?
He's been holding it.
I'm not gonna break my edging streak
we
just
just
for a
make
podcast, gentlemen.
Make sure you have the towel next to the computer. You'll be fine.
Yeah, the shirt is next to me. It's well used. Where do I start? I mean, just the most beautiful and handcrafted woman you've ever seen. The way I hung on that age was perfect. Damn it, I made myself laugh. No, I just really like I said, I'm a hopeless romantic. I like the romance plots. I really love that whole, like, connection between you and Revan and everything, and then she's kind of like conflicted with their emotion. You gotta sit there and be like, the Jedi are kind of gay, babe. Just kiss me. I just fuck with it. I fuck with the story. I fuck with her. She's pretty. She can go goth. She literally does everything. You want a nice, good girl? Boom, she's got you. You want a goth mommy to fucking step on you? Bam, Sith side, bro. She's perfect. She's perfect. She's perfect.
Yeah, Waves has done he's made After Dark edits of Bastila.
Oh my god.
Oh, probably.
What is After Dark? You lost
That's
me there. What is this?
The one synth song that came out a couple.
You've done
couple years
AMVs about
yeah,
it.
AMVs.
Are you talking about After Dark? Or are you talking about?
Okay, yeah, I get you. Oh, the Mr. Kitty song. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I will say that the dialogue or the interactions you can have with her, if you all like the jokey / flirty options as a male Revan, and how she gets all flustered trying to be serious while you're being an absolute goofball. I like that dynamic a lot.
Exactly. Right.
I would just say that, in general, and it's part of the plot of the story itself, is that Bastila is the best written for her interactions with Revan. Anyways, because it's very realistic in terms of the fact that she's like, I'm a good person, but at the same time, I have these tendencies just in my personality to be bad, and so I want to be a bad person. Is you can see that ongoing struggle. You throw in kind of the romance aspect where you're like, you want the D? And she's like, yes, but I shouldn't. But yes. And then kind of either way, as long as you kind of play the dialogue options, play the cards right, you do get to see kind of that come to fruition where it's like, you're a good goon, and you were convincing her the whole time, no, don't start an OnlyFans. You should just be my hoe. And
Real.
and she'll follow through on that, as opposed to her being like, you're like, I step on those big fucking boots, black underwear, and then she'll follow through on that too. But you have that proper representation, but it's also because you're kind of expected, with her being your first kind of Jedi companion, and the fact that she's a Sentinel, so she's well-rounded for Force powers and for melee combat. You're kind of expected to spend the most time with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, naturally.
Especially if you're playing as a male Revan character. As a female, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Spoken as somebody who my first playthrough on KOTOR was with a female character.
So did you go for Karth or did you go for Juhani?
I don't think I did anything at the time.
Really?
But anyways, you are expected to spend the most time with her. And so I also think I noticed something which is definitely the most dialogue stings, asides and whatnot with other companions, are with Bastila.
No, for sure.
Bastila and Karth, they have shit to talk about. Bastila and Canderous, they have shit to talk about. I think even Bastila and Juhani have a few asides and whatnot. But I noticed that she has more than the other character as opposed to, I think the next most frequent would probably be Karth and
Karth for
Mission.
sure.
Yeah,
Karth
Where
has
he's
some
just
with
he's like, I'm old man and you're dumb kid. But so Bastila has absolutely fantastic, I think, characterization, whether she's dark side or light side. She has the most to do with Revan. Her side quest with her whole issue with her parents, and then actually going and encountering her mom. And if you get to the nice resolution of that, where it's you're still a fucking bitch, but at the same time you're dying and my dad is already dead. So, if I live through this, maybe we'll reconnect, kind of thing. That whole thing was very, very well done. Bastila as a character, plus, voice performance by Laura Bailey. That was Laura Bailey.
Right? Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer Hale, that's the one. Voice performance by Jennifer Hale is just it's great. Did a very good job. No complaints. Bastila as a character is just she's very fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm done.
In every way.
Andrew, you got much to say?
No, as far as the characterization goes, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. I do find that her being described with the whole battle meditation it does lead to
that's
some
kinda-
plot beats where it's like, oh, well then how the hell did you get caught, or how did we get beat? Because shouldn't you be able to read the future and shit like that? And how was she abducted by Malak when she had you and Karth and
She was testing you to see if you really loved her enough to come and save her. It's literally, damsel in distress.
The door closed, and I was like, damn, well, I guess that's it.
that's it. It's like,
didn't see that one coming.
I can literally splice this. I've got the whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So there were a few things where they're a bit questionable plot beats for me, but the story has to move on at some point.
Naturally.
So, yeah.
Naturally. What do I got written down? Another one of BioWare's greats, and probably one of their best romances. I'm gonna be real. I think the only other romance is probably better. I think is probably Morrigan in Dragon Age, in my opinion, and how it ties to the plot and the character and things like that. Most
That's
BioWare
fair.
romances, they're great. I'm not gonna lie, I love them. I got a waifu in every single damn game. Mostly Dexter Amino. If you get it, you get it.
Yeah, boy.
But
Yeah, baby.
I lost my mojo. Yeah, but Bastila specifically is very her romance is tied directly with Revan in a way that is better written than most BioWare romances.
Yeah. It's very organic.
Absolutely.
Good to enjoy.
The way the two are kind of just intertwined is kind of legendary and really changes the narrative depending on whether you do light side, dark side. It's just sort of the difference again between temptation and redemption. And it's that sort of especially if you take it in the context of the romance, that it's especially when she failed and she turned to the dark side because Malak basically, whipped her ass enough it gave her the shock therapy. Are we allowed to say that these days?
Yeah.
The electroshock therapy. Yeah. It's basically one of those that if Revan can be redeemed, so can Bastila. It's if I can be redeemed, so can my love basically be redeemed from the dark side. And in that sense, it's really, really cool and interesting. And inversely, it's one of those where if you do the dark side Revan, it's where you give into that temptation. You give into that where it's just a very you're not his, you're mine. Sort of thing. And so Bastila that way, Bastila's awesome. Yeah. Pretty cool companion. Yeah, Jennifer Hale's great. She's great in everything pretty much.
Yeah.
Even though her British accent is basically the same in everything, where it's oh, she sounds like this, and then Ryo Chuchi in Clone Wars sounds exactly like Bastila, but whatever. You got a million other rules that you should be very proud of, so no complaints. Moving on, because much to my chagrin, I'm looking at it, it's 3 hours and 17 minutes.
Yeah.
So
we knew.
Yeah, we knew. If you know, you know.
Tom tried to manifest it in shorter, and
it's probably if I didn't write notes, it'd probably be way shorter. But
we did also have a 45-minute.
Yeah, that's true. Also true. So we'll say 2.5 hours. Moving on to
you also invited me.
Yeah, which is the point. But anyways, and you said yes, asshole.
Traskolgo.
Destroy the cardio. Yeah, Traskolgo. I'm Traskolgo from Alderaan. Shut up, bitch. I'm gonna die.
We're in different shifts. You might not have seen me.
Yo, that was so funny. Moving on. Malak. We're moving on to Darth Malak. And this pretty.
Ooh.
Okay.
And
unexpected.
I'm gonna start this one up. My notes say, real talk, Malak is a bit dull of a villain and is only really interesting due to the relationship with Revan.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good head, though.
You got that tongue action worked.
No, Malak was. Yeah, it's definitely, you can tell that they probably came up with the Revan before they came up with Malak. Just because like Malak himself, it's like, well, what are his goals? Well, he's gonna take over the galaxy. Okay, what are his like goals beyond that? So you have in the expanded lore that Revan actually like had kind of a plan for beyond that, but with the way Malak is characterized, especially in the game, it just doesn't seem like he has anything else going on besides I'm the evil big McNasty. I need to crush the Jedi. I need to crush the Republic, and then what do you do from there?
Get revenge on Revan.
Yeah, like what is kind of the plan from that
Wipe
point?
this pathetic planet from the face of the galaxy.
It's entirely possible that it's just something that, like he was meant to be a villain, so they didn't really consider. But it also, it does make him kind of a weak villain in that there's no real end goal besides winning the war. Because at that point, what is he going to do after that? Like with...
And that begs the question of why you had him so high up on your list, given what your
because
notes
I forgot
said.
about him.
I feel like
That's all. That's all I wrote after I wrote everybody else. Well, I wrote all the companions first, and then I'm like, okay, I guess we should talk about Malak, but...
that's actually like a perfect representation. Is you just forgot about him. Forget him.
No.
He doesn't really do anything. He has no plan. Like with Palpatine, for example, he had a plan where he was going to take over, but he was going to still rule. And then, of course, in Rebels and everything like that, you had the expanded, like, what it was like with living with Palpatine and everything. Whereas with like, Malak, it's such a limited scope of time that you see, where you're only seeing really the time period of the game. And because he's not the main character, the expanded universe doesn't really touch on him that much. So, in terms of being like a villain, he's a great villain. He's fantastic for wipe the pathetic planet from the face of the galaxy. And like stealing Bastila and everything. But it's like, what's going on here, man? What's the end goal?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
And I think that kind of goes with the Sith as a whole, like in the original KOTOR. Especially, I think it's a kind of a limitation of the game and the times, because it's like if you look, it's like on Sith occupied planets and shit. Or maybe I'm thinking
Darth Malak is most displeased.
Yeah.
The difference between the Sith and the Republic is just that the Sith are assholes when they rule over people. It's not even like they're doing anything more besides some additional like context that you get, but it's just like Republic doesn't say anything, but the Sith, if they're ruling over it, then they see an alien, they're like, ugly freak. Like,
And we'll get into that.
Like, that's the difference. So they don't really give a ton of depth.
We'll get into that with one of our planets.
Well, I was gonna say a little sidebar is with like with KOTOR 2, they did that a lot better with the villain.
Yeah.
Like with Kreia, it's my goal is the death of the Force, and then I can like go and be mean grandma and die. With Nihilus, it's just like I am gonna just kill everything. Yeah, hungry, baby.
Hungry.
I just want to eat everything. With what's his name? Sleeps with Vibroblades. Scion. The Scion is kind of like his whole thing is like kind of a vendetta against Kreia, and then otherwise he just like wants battle and war and everything like that, and that's all he wants to do ever. So like you don't really need an end goal because he just like wants to fight till the end of time. So
I want to end the Force. I fucking hate you and want to kill you.
Hey, Mean Grandma is great.
I love Mean Grandma.
Anyway, Mean Grandma is fantastic.
Alrighty, back to Malak.
No, Scion.
Yeah, back to Malak. But so like with that they did better. With Malak they didn't do as well. Continue.
I was just gonna say my notes continue. Dark Side Revan for me is especially interesting because of the because it turns light dark. Oh, you're the bad guy, I'm the good guy, to like the Lord and the usurper sort of ordeal. And it's a fight between lords on who can damn the galaxy better. And it has this very like, especially the end when you're in the Starforge and things like that. It has a very like classical like Greek or like Roman sort of feel to it, where it's like here now, like it's like this is one of those scenes that if they do a remake and it's as cinematic as I think it would be so cool. Just saying, but
It's literally the Chappelle's fucking play a haters ball, dude. They're just competing to see who can be the best hater.
The best hater. And that's basically all I got for characters.
Yeah, that did
You
give
can
me
clap your heels 3 times and go back to Tatooine.
that did give me a little kind of sidebar too. I haven't done like a dark side run through of KOTOR in quite a while. But I do remember that, yeah, like if you're light side, you are redeeming Malak by the end, and it causes him to kind of introspect to like, what would have happened if it was you who fired on me? Like, would I have been the one that the Jedi saved, and I would have come for you as like this paragon of light? And in the end, he kind of redeemed himself a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
Whereas
true.
in the dark side, it's like, you're a fucking piece of shit. How dare you think you can kill me? Die in the dirt, you pig. And he's just like, fuck.
No, at the end though, at the end he was like, you are the master, and I was wrong to kill you. You deserve it all. Dies. Yeah. So
That day, Dante, if our positions were switched.
yeah, so not pretty good. And that's pretty much what I got for characters. Moving on, what do we got? Oh, planets. We got planets. My notes here, just in general. We got a good mix of new and old planets, though the new ones farly outweigh the old ones. Old ones as in like pre-established planets, is what I mean.
Yeah.
And so,
Like Tatooine and
yeah,
such.
like Tatooine,
Dantooine to a degree.
Kashyyyk, yeah, salted Kashyyyk chews. But to start off, we'll start off with Terrace. We're not going to start on the end of the Spire. Who gives a shit? But Terrace, I got here, makes a really good first act. Really like the idea of a Euconopolis, aka like a planet-wide city or big-ass city, that has seen better times and has a nasty caste system. Wish it was more fleshed out and longer. That's what I got for Terrace.
Yes.
And so,
Which is funny because a lot of people complain that Terrace is too long.
That's me. I'm one of those people.
I love Terrace. I think Terrace is so damn cool. I think it's like,
I like Terrace, but I think it's one of those areas in a game that I always really struggle. Like I sit there on a second or repeated playthrough, and I'm like, okay, can I get through this already?
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here in that kind of everybody's right, where Terrace is interesting and fantastic, where it's like, yeah, you've got a citywide planet like Coruscant with like an Indian style caste system and differing levels and everything like that, and there's no mobility between these systems and everything. That's super interesting, and a lot of the lore surrounding Terrace is super cool, but they didn't flesh it out enough, and so Terrace does tend to drag, especially on repeated playthroughs. The first playthrough, you're like, man, this is fucking cool. I'm gonna go assault the Sith base, I'm gonna go down to the lower city, I'm gonna go down to the other city, I'm gonna go to the sewers. You got these options. But then on your like next playthroughs, you're like, yeah, okay, find the promised land. Either I'm gonna sell the info to Rookkill, or I gear or Rookkill. Like, I'm gonna figure out what I'm doing here. But Jesus, like this is taking forever. Like Paragus is kind of similar. Like, and I'm somebody who loves Paragus.
yeah,
which is
I was gonna say like Paragus used to be. I used to hate Paragus, and now I love Paragus.
yeah.
I love it, but
Yeah.
it's one of those Terrace to me. I do generally agree. The concept of Terrace is really cool and could be fleshed out. And execution's a different matter.
Yeah. Conceptually fantastic. Practically, fuck.
Sometimes like it's like, oh my god, like the apartment's theme stuck in my head. It's like, oh brother.
Don't start. I've got it on my phone right here. I can play it for you if you need.
But we got much more to say about Terrace.
Only that some of the side quests are kind of pointless. It's Terrace gets destroyed anyway, so it's like, why? Yeah, why bother? Except for the XP.
Give the map. Not if you give the map, because it does get brought up in it gets brought up in the Old Republic. Just saying, but
Really?
yeah,
How the hell did they get off the planet?
they didn't get off the planet. They moved somewhere else.
The entire planet was glassed.
Not all of the planet, just the city. Terrace is like one part of Terrace, I get. Oh, whatever. Anyway, moving on. Dantooine, which is the next planet. You know what I have under my notes?
What?
I have 2 words.
African Savannah.
It's Dantooine.
It's Dantooine, yeah.
After that.
Honestly, I would say that Dantooine is a bit more of a slog
It's worse than
Terrace is for me.
Terrace, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's way worse.
Yeah.
The most interesting part is that murder mystery on the bridge.
Yes.
Yes.
And then-
absolutely.
And then if you actually do like the full Sandre,
Yeah,
or
Matale or
Sandro and
whatever.
Matale feud,
The
that's
Romeo and
super
Juliet
cool.
shit.
But like if you fuck up even a small part of it, then it just becomes stupid.
Yeah. After that, I say calm aesthetics, but rather boring. Relieved I can start leveling again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Tatooine though.
Yeah, there you go. See, yeah.
Oh,
it's
also
fucking-
the lady who was using the
the
protocol
droid!
droids.
Oh my gosh, I forgot
That's
about
true.
that.
That's done.
Ooh.
Quick aside, yeah.
She was doing what?
Yeah.
You
Please,
I love
please let me
how
die.
every
Yeah, I'm
character
gonna
is like
tell you,
super
say
sus
lost.
about
You're
it.
still lost, dude. No, don't do this to me.
Yeah, I do love how all of the characters involved dance around the fact that he's a sex bot,
Yeah.
but they just never quite go into it. Okay, I'm done.
You're
I'm done with
brainwashed. Revan is sitting there. He's like, now what is this weird prolonged object on the crotch region? What kind of droid is this? And I'm like, Karth is like, buddy.
Yeah. It seems you've never been to Nar Shaddaa. Yeah, I guess so. After that, this is Dantooine. I got another one. Tatooine. After the Old Republic
No.
and its overuse in Star Wars, I never want to see this goddamn planet ever
It's
again.
everyone's favorite monobiome desert world. What's not to love?
And then after
Agreed.
that, my notes are, at least it's short.
Yeah. Fair.
At least it's short.
I will say, listening to the Tuscans talk about their history, I mean, it's very, very long-winded, but I personally found that interesting. But
It was cool the
Tatooine as
first
a
time.
world is, yeah, it sucks. We should never talk about it again or visit it in Star Wars. Thank you very much.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then we got Kashyyyk, or Kashyyyk.
Cash.
I got this. This is interesting. Some people might disagree. Some people might not. This is ultimately like an OST thing for me, but it's like I have it worse than Tatooine in my opinion. Falls for the same tired themes Tatooine does. Feels mind-numbing to go through.
Yeah.
I was so bored with Kashyyyk. With Kashyyyk, I can literally hear the theme of Kashyyyk, like those like kind of tribal drums and like
The
those
tribal
like
drums and the flute, the
It's
panflute.
literally
Can
mind-numbing.
you hear the fucking?
It's mind-numbing.
Can you hear the fucking tax in the
I hear
background?
the taxes in the background and I hate them. They won't shut up.
It's mind-numbing.
I would say that the most there is one interesting part about Kashyyyk, and that
Terran
is when you get to the star map.
And the star map, yeah, that's
and
true.
The Terran
The
Tech
riddle.
and the star map, where it's like, okay, we're gonna see if you match the cognitive pattern, and if you fail the cognitive pattern by like being too good or whatever, then it's like, well, that doesn't fucking make sense. Time for you to die.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But the rest of the planet, no, the rest of the planet can go fuck itself. It's so boring.
Yeah. Waves, you got anything to add in?
Sand is coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere. And I don't like it.
Pass Tatooine, nigga.
there, buddy.
No. And we're talking about trees and stuff.
Oh yeah, Kashyyyk. Yeah, it's dark and wet.
Yeah, there
It's
we go.
okay.
There we go. Now you're good.
Good enough.
I think
good
we've been
enough. Moving
spoiled
on.
by new
No, we're
Star
still
Wars
talking about-
media that depict Kashyyyk.
Kind of musty.
Is it
Kashyyyk.
Kashyyyk
It's
or
Kashyyyk.
Yes.
We're not saying Kashyyyk.
It is Kashyyyk.
Who calls it Kashyyyk? Is that
they
a
say it in the
new
Calls it
game.
Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
there's
click through a
some.
lot. I read really fast, so I click through a lot of
Take it
dialogue.
There are
Dogs
some things
sometimes.
that don't get pronounced properly. Kashyyyk, Kashyyyk, Taurus, Bastila, Bastila.
Oh my god.
Bastila. I mean, to be fair, her name is like Bastille, the actual world. So.
Moving on. Finally. This is the part where it's like, yeah, it's a finally. Manon. This is
Yes,
this one we got a lot to say.
My nan, what you talking about my nan for?
One
man?
sentence is all why I got other notes, but one sentence. Best planet in the whole damn game.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
No.
You're wrong.
No. You can't
No.
disagree with me.
Yeah, I can.
Wiggz, we
There's
need-
way too much fucking backtracking. I hate it.
Yeah, the backtracking is pretty annoying. I'm gonna
Sounds like somebody didn't invest in force speed.
That's true. Even though it doesn't change anything. It doesn't
I
change
didn't want to
anything.
play a Jedi. I wanted to play a scoundrel. So of course I didn't invest in force speed.
I didn't really understand Force stuff until like my 4th or 5th playthrough,
Rookie.
so I never used Force speed.
It doesn't
Just-
do anything.
No, Manana's great. Manana's great. It has some of the best plots, not only side plots, but also like for main plots, but going down to Hacker Station.
Yeah.
The Cellcath are super cool. I love them. I was so happy to see them show up in Clone Wars. The murder mystery with Jolie's side story is
Absolutely.
also fantastic.
Mhm.
Seeing the interactions between the Sith and
Mhm.
Republic soldiers
Mhm.
and whatnot, where it's like, yeah, once again, the Sith are kind of cartoonishly evil and the Republic are just kind of there.
Yeah.
Just like fantastic all around. Also, just cozy as hell.
Oh my god.
I
The soundtrack for that one stuck in my
the
head.
Auto City theme just on repeat on my phone right now. That's all I've got playing. It's just Auto City.
Yeah.
That's it. It's so cozy.
I got written in here. Most interesting plot going on with the Sith and Republic in the whole game. Largely lacking characters in other planets, the Sith and the Republic are actual factions vying for control of the planet in KOTOR that is missing everywhere else. What I got up here. After that, lots of legalese quests that are fun to play around with. Just true. The 2 times you go to court are straight up probably like the 2 times in the game where how you do the dialogue tree actually matters. How you like,
Yes.
it's like if you poison
2 times.
if you poison the big thing, the stupid fish, whatever,
Oh, that thing.
the
right.
primogenitor, if you poison it, you can literally lie and then get out of your lie, and then at the end of it go, but if you kill me and you exile me, I'll let everybody know what happened. And that's such a cool damn thing to go where, like, you know, this planet and its species hate you, but they have to go along with your lie. It's great. And then, of course, as a survival horror guy, even though it's not horror at all, I love plus an awesome underwater spooky section. It's got everything I want. It's got everything I want in the game. I love like water planets and most things. I love the water temple and most
that's
things.
you.
Like, yeah, fishy. That you? No,
Fishy, can't get me.
awesome. I love that.
Come out, we'll protect you. No. The Cellcath will eat everybody.
Yeah, oh my god. I used to be kind of scared of the sharks, and then I know it's like, oh, they're literally as retarded as sharks are in real life. So I'm not scared of them anymore.
Unironically.
You know, but that's what I gotta say. Manon is honestly my favorite planet in the game. It's like I could listen to the soundtrack on a repeat, lay down there. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with like the different mercenaries in that, where you actually, because you hear like, oh, there's Ikani blades, Ikani dueling shields, all this stuff, and then you meet somebody from the Ikani where it's like, oh, you're like Mandalorians but kind of nicer. And then you meet Mandalorians, and it's just like, oh yeah, we're Mandalorians. And then you meet the one like Iridorian or whatever. That's like the only time you
Iridonian, yeah.
It's the only time you see him. You never see him in any other Star Wars thing ever again. It's like, holy shit, dude, you're a friggin' psychopath. And everybody's like, yeah, that guy's a psychopath. I also like I like how the Sith are trying to subvert the Cellcath youth. I think it's really cool. And trying, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that whole plot.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, they're comically evil. And it's like, yeah, and they're also like, yeah, we're trying to subvert the youth. While at the same time, the planet is pretty secretly like working with the Republic. Which is like, that's why it's interesting. Because it's like, this entire Republic Sith War thing, it's just never really brought up anywhere, except for the very beginning and the very end. And then this one planet, it's like, oh, this is where the whole story basically is that you deal with in the game. that has to do with the Republic and
right,
Sith.
the galaxy's at war. Forgot about that.
Apparently not.
I was having too much fun.
Except on Manon, where they can't fight each other.
Yeah.
Which is really neat. But I don't know, boys. What else? What refutations do you have?
Look, you're not wrong. There's a lot of interesting like quests and story beats and
you know what it means,
politicking
right?
shit. What?
If I'm not wrong, it means I'm right. So be quiet, and we're moving on to Corbin.
You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish.
Yes, it
You didn't
does.
let me
Moving
finish.
on. Moving on.
No, there are 5. This planet is split between 6 little subsections that are fucking annoying to have to traverse to because they're all on opposite ends of each other. And in the underwater section, as cool as the underwater base is, it's broken up by those segments where you have to wear the enviro suit underwater and slowly crawl through to the next room. It is so fucking tedious. No, get that shit out of here.
What, you don't like to hear like dun 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 dun.
No, I hate that. I hate that so much. It's so fucking annoying. God damn.
Skill issue. Moving on.
Wade, you got anything to say about Manon?
No. I think you guys covered everything sufficiently. I don't have anything to add.
Moving on to to Korriban or Korriban.
Now that
Or
is the best
Moraban.
planet.
Second best planet.
I like
Second
Korriban,
best
yeah.
planet.
Yeah.
I think it's the best. I like Korriban.
I'm doing
It's not as good as Manon, but it's still good.
I'm trying to do like a face to make you cry on the camera, but it's not on, so.
You can't scare me.
Yeah.
Make your baby cry challenge, any
like-
percent. That's one of my favorite videos you've sent me, dude. I love that video.
But I got written down here, tied between Terrace for second favorite planet. Due to the Sith shish,
Yeah.
finally get to understand the enemy, so to speak, and there are some intriguing story elements. Brackets, Karth's son. But this is the time. This is the time where the Sith actually, like as a faction, get to be brought out. What is their philosophy?
Yeah.
What do they believe in? Why do people join this faction? Why? Because it's like the whole frame of this war is really weird, because it's not like, oh, this part of the galaxy is this and this part of the galaxy is that. It's like the Republic is losing because people are joining the Sith. And then we end up figuring out the Starforge stuff and like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it basically comes down to, this one planet where we really get to figure out, why are people joining the Sith? And it's because they provide a thing that the Jedi can't, which is true freedom, in a sense.
Benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Korriban, I was almost a little bit disappointed, so to speak, with like Korriban is one of the things where it's like, we're in the old Republic. Korriban has been fucked since like thousands of years before that. And like I feel like I would be more interested, to be fair, I like Korriban more in KOTOR 1 as opposed to KOTOR 2. Where you can go into the tombs in the Valley of the Sith Lords. But at the same time with the tombs, I feel like they could have been done better. They're still great in what they do with them, but I feel like there was, and I can't put my finger on it, but there was something more to be had there. I would say that the best interaction you have in the tombs is with Ajunta Pall. The Ajunta Pall tomb and interacting with his Force Ghost and everything is like the peak of Korriban.
Yep.
In KOTOR 2, it's the Force Cave in the Chirac Caverns.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, like with KOTOR 1 specifically, it's like there could have been so much more. You guys could have done way more with this. In addition to the fact that something that they did that was clever and makes perfect sense, but also kind of takes away from the gameplay a little bit, which is you can't take Bastila there. Because she's going to be recognized, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Kreia in KOTOR 2, which means that, like, maybe on the first playthrough, you might...
Holy shit, you
try to
actually
take,
are playing the music in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you.
He said he would.
This is going to be a nightmare for me to edit.
I'll turn it off.
What have you done?
Anyways. You fool. Anyways.
for the first playthroughs that people might make, they'll try to probably take Bastila because it's the most interesting. When I first played it, I was like, oh, I'm going to take Bastila Corbin. It's going to be cool. And then she's like, no, I'm too easily recognized. And you're like, that makes perfect sense. But at the same time, like, God damn it. So for most people, any successive playthrough or any new players who maybe look it up for what's the best planet order, Corbin is always going to be the second last. Like before they go to the Star Forge and shit like that. Like it's always going to be further along on the docket, which, like I said, it makes sense, but at the same time, it's kind of a shame. It's just kind of unfortunate. Put it that way.
Andrew, you got much?
I'm done.
No, I don't have too much to expand on what Wiggz said regarding Corbin. I like Corbin. There's not nearly as big as Manon, so I didn't feel the traveling was as tedious. And because you're getting multiple different ways to curry favor with the Sith Masters before you move on, I like having that the different options to get into bed with those guys before you inevitably stab them in the back. And there's a ton of like cool artifacts and lore bits that you can pick up from that planet too.
Actually, what Andrew just said brought another Uthara Ban. Fantastic character in terms of the fact that you can go like full evil and you can choose to leave her as the head of the academy, I think. Otherwise you're killing her or you're killing Master Uthar or whatever. But if you do a light side, you can also redeem her. Because it she was like a slave or something like that, but she was like had Jedi tendencies or something like that. I don't remember exactly the details to her storyline. I just remember it being absolutely amazing. She's actually like one of the really, really well done characters in Knights of the Old Republic. I'm actually very happy that Andrew kind of pointed that out with the Sith Masters and everything. She's actually like fantastic. Whether you're dark side or whether you're light side, you can just kind of swish by it and be like, no, you're both dying when you get to the end. But if you choose to like engage in her storyline, and especially as a male character, it's easier because you kind of flirt with her a little bit. You can discover a lot more of the backstory and everything. And she's actually like a superbly well done character. She's fantastic. Now I'm done.
It's true. It's true. Waves, you got anything?
I like Korriban for the visuals mainly. I mean, I love going through the Sith ruins and stuff, obviously the lore bits and whatnot. I think it's a really good tie into the game, and I like that kind of desolate, dark side-ridden planet. I think it adds a very cool vibe to the story and the atmosphere. That's about it.
Yeah.
You guys nailed it.
No, pretty much. I'm trying to think. My only real big gripe with it is that, like, oh, I'm gonna be evil Sith guy. It's like, I'll kill you both. No, I said I'll kill you both, not the whole academy. Come on, man! I gotta fight all these people! But, through that, though, I do have to say, the coolest thing that Korriban brought to us in Star Wars in general, I gotta say it, and I'm just gonna recite it. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. No chair can hold me. Only Andrew's gonna keep going. And the Force shall free
quick
me.
aside, one time the Sith code got me through like a particularly bad dentist appointment when I was getting surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at that.
That's better than when they took my wisdom teeth out. You know what happened?
What?
Didn't knock you out?
I was in the dentist chair, in the dentist seat, and they administered, I guess they were administering the thing to put me down to sleep or whatever. You know what's the last thing
Anesthesia,
I remember? Because they got those TVs that are above you when you're laying down in the chair, right?
Oh no.
You know what's the last thing I remember watching? Was The Cosby Show. And this was before everything else. So the last thing I remember was this like, oh, hibbity, hibbity, oh, boppity, boppity. And then coming out of the dentist's office like, oh, my mouth is so sore. It's like I remember with Cosby Show, and then what the hell? My mouth is so sore. Which, to the audience out there, if you don't know, the Cosby Show used like date rape drugs to kill people. I mean, not kill people.
I was gonna say.
Rape people, but.
better your mouth was sore than your ass.
Wow. I didn't feel it up my ass, so. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
That was just the local anesthetic.
Yeah. But, man, I remember it's like, I remember playing, I think it was like Mass Effect 2 after that, but whatever. Anyways. I think we're done with planets. Is there anything else that we want to talk about with planets?
Do you want to mention like the last planet before the Starforge?
I don't really care, to be honest. I didn't have any notes. I said rest we'll leave up for discussion. We want to talk about it.
Do you wanna bring up Yavin 4 at all?
No.
The DLC?
Okay.
It has the cool.
Yeah.
It has the
cool.
two
I'm
crystals.
cool with not mentioning it. I just wanted to make sure.
It has the 2 crystals and some nifty gear if you can afford it. That's really about it.
Yeah.
It didn't come with the original game. For those of you listening at home, it's now included.
However, if you buy it now, it will.
Yeah, exactly.
If you buy it on the door.
Yeah, I believe it was like originally cut content and they just added it back in.
Yeah, it was.
But
yeah,
now we are at the section. We're getting pretty close to the end, which I'm looking at my timeline. It's just like, yeah, well, well, whatever. The section's called anything else, so it's pretty like all over the place, for the most part. Does anybody have anything like just random things like that either you have come in your head now or like that you maybe written down that don't necessarily fit into any other section in our discussion?
The Starforge sucked ass.
It does, man. That level sucks.
It does.
It really does suck. It's like, it's constantly making droids. It's constantly making droids. I'm like, yeah, could you not put that into gameplay? Could you make some big battle where you see them like constantly sending droids instead of just literally sending me like a legion of droids and men fight, please?
Yeah.
I also crashed a couple times when I played it on PC. Just wild.
Yeah, it still crashes to this day. Sometimes the pathfinding isn't great for your companions, especially. You'll try to leave a location and find that they're halfway across the map.
Well, you'll like sit there and try to go to a next area, and like nothing's happening. You're like, what? And you click on one of your companions that you notice is not there.
Yeah,
and
they're
like
fighting one guy
across the map. Then your characters that were at the gate start running back over across it. You're like, no.
Wait for your companion.
Quick aside for any players getting into this, when you're in one of your first confrontations with Malak and you're in the room with all the robots, and it tries to make you like solve computer problems. If you have a high enough security skill,
just let the door.
You can just get through the door. You just hack the door, and then you can just get out of that.
Yeah.
Because that's like such a tedious fucking ball break.
I thought that was hilarious how you could just pick lock that, like just skip that entire fight. I thought that was great.
Yeah. Otherwise, for like any other quests, I think we covered most of them in my various rants throughout this recording.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have any ancillary comments to add at the time.
Waves, you got anything?
I love Bass, so let that be on the record.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty sure it's on the record a few times.
That's right.
And
a few times.
Yeah, well, I need to make sure it's there for
Andrew,
my sake.
you got anything?
What's your guys' opinion on Pazik or swoop bikes or that ship
the
turret
part of the game
segment
that I
whenever you
forgot
leave the
about.
planet?
Bikes are basic but fun.
Besides initial introductions, nothing.
Yeah. I never played them after. Well, I never played Pazak because I couldn't care.
I like Pazak better than fucking Caravan from Fallout. I'll say that.
Really? I like Caravan.
No, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I understand fucking Caravan now, and I actually kind of like Caravan. I unironically kind of want to play it in real life. Pazak, I don't know. It's just
I hate Caravan. Really? No, actually, I love Caravan. Anyway.
Well, it's like
maybe I'm Revan. I'm that charismatic.
Oh boy.
I hope if they remake the game, they take out the ship turret segments when you sometimes leave planets.
Oh my god, man.
That was
or at least
a tedious slog.
you don't have to like watch as the game closes, then reopens with an AMV, then like closes, then reopens.
Yeah. Oh, on PC, yeah, it's really bad for that. Where I think it's like, damn, the game crashed, and it's like, no, it's playing.
And there's a very good chance that it does crash during those scenes. That when it has to load the cutscenes, like because it closes the game, then opens like the FMV file.
Yeah,
and
it's playing. It's playing like a 144p FMV, where the sound's like still really messed up too. It always makes me laugh. Especially when the music swells, it's just so compressed and bad.
Yeah.
But anyways, speaking of music, I got on here. I like the OST, even though it's not a good thing to listen to. It's far too short. Basically, what I mean by that is that like the soundtrack's good. Every track is literally like a minute and a half. So unless you're listening to like 3-hour extended sessions of it, then it doesn't really work out. Standouts are the KOTOR theme, so that's the one that like plays when you start up the game, like the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that one is good.
That one's great. After that, I got the Sith theme. Because it's awesome. Yeah. Just the like dun 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 dun.
Oh, the combat theme.
Dun 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 dun.
I got kind of tired of that by the end, but that might be because it just kept on constantly playing on the Star Forge.
Yeah, because it's a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Because it's a minute and a half and it loops. Manon, of course. Manon is just chill and awesome. And then they're basically two tied together, but I love them anyways. The Malak theme, followed by like the final boss theme, which is just the Malak theme, but like a more
grandiose.
It's like it's a nice like grandiose. Kind of not subversive, but it's like a very different version of like the Imperial March. It's that same sort of like not staccato, but like the like dun 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 dun. But then the final boss theme of it is so awesome. It's like damn, this is what those like Greek people were thinking when they made their stupid ass plays. This is what I'm thinking. It's like way more acceptable. After that, I got a lot of the aesthetic things rub me the wrong way. Could be more ancient.
Yes.
Just finally, I get to talk about the problem I have with the Old Republic is that it's not old enough. The Old Republic looks like what we would think now within canon as the High Republic.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, a couple centuries before. It should be, much, much more ancient. And so, like in the Tales of the Jedi comics, like back then when they're talking about like the Great Hyperspace War and that in those comics, they kind of get it. But
the Korean Finno Hyper War?
Yeah. You weren't supposed to say that.
Oh,
now
sorry.
We're in trouble.
Oh, shit.
Now they're coming after us.
Damn it.
But, yeah, that's basically, and then I'll get into that a little bit more, what I would want. But, and then the final thing I have is really short. I downloaded, like, I didn't download mods that really changed the game, but I downloaded mods that made the game, like, prettier and shit.
You downloaded the Bastila Bikini mod. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here first. Let the record show.
My boy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I downloaded. Anyways, I downloaded like this one that like it changes the how the characters look. And so like, and not how the characters look, but they like updated them, but the actual like the face that is like in the corner for the game, like the little profile image in that is so damn funny. Like Revan, they change him to look more like Revan, like he does in the Old Republic and stuff like that.
Sure.
And it says like he literally looks like Ilka Vili. Ilka Vili being the guy who plays like Alan Wake in the live action segment and also writes Alan Wake. So I'm gonna put it in Mongolian Thunderdome, just our Discord or whatever. So it's like this is Revan. It literally looks like Ilka Vili.
Bro, actually.
Yeah. Then
kind of does.
Yeah. So, and that's Ilka Vili. And then there's this one. I couldn't find an image, like the actual image that it uses in game, because it's like way more compressed and way more crunchy. But the image for Karth is like really zesty looking.
Oh,
This is like, I'm pretty sure where
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this. It's like,
Is he okay?
He's slaying.
Yeah, he's
okay,
slaying.
let him
it
slay.
like looks really zesty, and I'm like, damn, Cart, you do not look like that at all in the game. But it's just the angle they took it at, which is really funny. But that's
His little blue dabba dee dabba da.
yeah, naboo-dee daboo-dum. That's a really funny image. I love it. Every time I like switch to him, it's like, okay. Down you go.
Down you
It's
go.
just like this really zesty image of him.
That's what I'm
Like,
gonna
it's
say every
beautiful.
time someone disagrees with me about renown. Down you go.
Anyways, to finalize this damn thing before the final, I guess, the finale. Hopes and expectations for the KOTOR remake. So, to put it out
Just
there
get
for
it
the
out.
Be quiet, I gotta introduce this. For the fellas that aren't aware out there, there is currently kind of in development hell, kind of in development, we don't really quite know. Though with the recent success of a different thing, we do suspect it will probably get made. An announcement was made several years ago for a full remake of Knights of the Old Republic that originally was being developed by Aspire Entertainment, who they have a lot of like Star Wars work down their sleeve. Originally really good, but like as of late has been really kind of shoddy.
They did a lot of the ports for KOTOR, so if
Yeah.
you've played it on like, I don't know, Switch or mobile for whatever reason, you've played their work.
Don't say mobile
Yeah.
for whatever reason. You're one of those people.
What do you gotta out me like that?
I remember being in Drumheller and you playing KOTOR on your
I
friggin' like iPad.
That was me. I'm those people. I didn't want to admit it.
Yeah. But basically, whatever happened, the people funding the project, which was Sony at first, and now they are no longer at all involved in the project, which I think is a good thing personally. But they basically hated the vertical slice that Aspire made, so that got transferred over to another game within the Embracer sphere, and that is Saber Entertainment. And so now they are supposedly working on it, but they've been very hush-hush. We haven't seen anything of this game. It got announced a while ago, and we still haven't seen anything. So it's probably still in pre-production, or it's being developed. We don't know. But, so, with that, what do we got? Like, do we have any hopes or expectations for the KOTOR remake, if it ever does get made?
I think they're going to change the combat system, which is fine.
Absolutely.
But I
will.
don't want that to be a slippery slope for them to be like, well, we changed the combat and you guys didn't care, so we changed a bunch of other stuff. Like, why are you going to care? We already changed a big thing of the original game. It's like, yeah, it's like, you need to take liberties and stuff, especially modernizing it, because good God, I can only imagine the reception it would get if you dropped that D20 system on a bunch of, like, little Zoomers, TikTok Zoomers now.
Yeah.
So I hope they do, retain a lot of the originals and stuff. I don't want to sit here and sound like, I don't know, an idiot or anything, but it's like, just don't make unnecessary changes.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make changes and you can justify them, then I'm sure I'll be fine, because it's not like the original's unplayable. I have both the Xbox copy and I own it on PC, so I'll be fine.
Yeah. Andrew, any expectations or hopes?
Oh boy. I mean, I don't think you can keep to the standard CRPG formula. Like, 'cause that'll be such a radical change to go from like an over-the-shoulder third person into, I don't know, what is essentially turn-based combat with the CRPGs of today. So it'll probably have to be like an action RPG sort of thing, and that probably makes the most sense for a Star Wars game in general. People want to have more control over their saber combat, right? So I think that's gonna be an inevitability. As far as what I hope for it, if they just expand more on Malak to make him a bit more of a compelling character, great villain aside, there's still just not a whole lot to as Wiggz said, a whole lot going over him. I think that would be decent. Or if they have just kind of like a like an epilogue that shows where some of the characters go.
Mm-hmm. Like
for Candace,
most modern
especially.
RPGs have
Like
nowadays.
yeah. But that way we'd have more satisfying kind of conclusions to a lot of these characters.
It's funny what you say about Malak, because like what I got written down here is like narrative-wise, I wouldn't change much apart from fleshing out Malak. Maybe having the game take place over a longer period of time. So, what I was thinking about here, and this is, I'll get into like gameplay and stuff like that after, but what I had like in my mind is that like I think the terrace section, and this kind of goes into what I think the Old Republic should be. The terrace section, I feel like it should be played over a longer period of time. Like maybe over the course of several months or something like that, instead of like literally a day or two.
Yeah.
And having the whole game basically be like that, where you're with these characters over a longer period of time. It fleshes them out, how they talk to you, how they do these things. It like, it changes because you're with these characters a lot. And same with Malak, like really fleshing him out as a villain and having him interact with the greater Republic would be really neat. But Wiggz, you got anything?
Well, kind of to expound upon your terrace thing, actually, now that you say that, that could be a very interesting. There is opportunity for extra like plot points. So for terrace specifically, just because it popped in my head, it would be interesting whether you're a male Revan or a female Revan, whichever you choose to play as, there is the opportunity on terrace where how you get the Sith uniforms is you go to like the Sith party, because you're hitting on that one Sith person. And if it did take place over the course of a couple months, it'd be interesting to see like them develop that a little bit and see like, how are you going to react to this? Are you going to have, the Sith side piece, for lack of a better term? And, maybe you want to expound upon that, and then you could even have an ongoing plot point where it's like you're trying to find out if they survived terrorists or not, because obviously they started the bombardment with their own soldiers on there. Or are you just going to kind of do what the original game did, where you ghost them just fucking immediately? For voice actors, I don't like recast. I never did. But I also understand that, it's a 21-year-old game. Some of the people may not even be alive. For minor characters, it's whatever. I would like to see them try to keep it as close as possible. Although, like Futurama with the Hulu series or, Disney Plus series, whatever you want to call it. This new season that we're seeing after Futurama technically ended 10 years ago, you can hear it in the voices because it's been quite a while. And like Billy West is getting fucking old. You can hear it in his voice, especially when that first like continuation series came out. Take The Simpsons. Marge Simpson sounds, bless her heart, but her voice actress sounds terrible. She doesn't sound very good because she's been doing the Marge voice for 30 plus years. So I would like to see them try to keep it as original as possible with the voice acting. But I also realize that may not be possible. But still, like, if they had to say for some reason they wanted to really expand, Jolie's voice acting, and say the Jolie voice actor is dead. I don't know if he is or not. I would like to still see them.
I think he's still around.
He probably.
I think he's still around.
But I like in such a circumstance, I would like to see them get somebody as close as possible to the original, because I've seen where they go the other way and they go in like a completely different direction, and it just throws you off. If you have any experience with the original game, it sounds jarring and weird, and it will break your immersion, because you have nostalgia and whatnot based off of like this original voice actor. And not saying that new voice actors are bad, but if they go in a very different direction, it's so off-putting to the point that you're like, I can't engage with this correctly. And I think that's probably it, I think, for my expectations for the new game.
Yeah. let's see, what do I got here? Basically, after very recently, we received from Saber Interactive, which are the guys allegedly still working on the remake. We received Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, which, if we're using that quality, the bar of quality that we've received with that game, I'm gonna be real, if Saber Interactive is going to do a remake, or do the remake, I have like no qualms anymore about the quality of product that they can make. Like straight up just after Space Marine 2, it's like, oh no, these guys can do it. These guys have every single capacity to make a big, bombastic, AAA epic game. Epic in the true epic fashion. While a full CRPG would be ideal, in my opinion, I think it would be really damn cool if like Larian or something like that got a shot at it, but that's not going to be the case. If that's not the case, honestly, if it's just like Jedi Fallen Order, like an action RPG like that, but more of an RPG, I'd be more than happy. But above all, the thing I would want changed the most are the aesthetics of the Old Republic. It needs to be old. It needs to be ancient. If they're gonna be like, this is like 3,000 years. It needs to be old. I think within canon, the idea at the moment of like the old Republic is this like dichotomy of like literal Jedi Knights with like crossguard lightsabers and things like that versus like Sith Ronin, which is like you can really see with
I was gonna say
the
Star
one
Wars
episode
Clone Wars,
of
where you go to Morband. Yeah, with Darth Bane. Yeah,
Darth Bane looks like a Ronin. He looks like almost kind of like a evil samurai, and that's honestly like how I would envision it. Like perhaps like way more analog, which is funny because Star Wars is already pretty analog, but like way more analog, way more like almost like not arcane, but just old. Like it's hard to say. Like this would tie into like the game taking place over a longer period of time where like communication and everything is really slow. So like, if they think somebody survived here on Terrace wouldn't get bombed in a second. It would take them months to get to Terrace or something like that, or weeks. And with that, I think there'd be some cool things where maybe like either have them bomb them with the people still on the planet, which is what a Sith would do, or have like this period of time where it's like the Sith are pulling out. And it's like, why are the Sith pulling out? What's going on? Like, we've relieved the planet, we've vindicated them, the Republic has been destroyed, blah, blah, blah. Enjoy your freedom. And then you bomb the planet. Like, that would be also a very Sith thing to do. But, narrative-wise, I really wouldn't change much. It's just flesh Malak out, make him over a period of time. It says here, it's like, make Shish more cinematic and epic. It's still an RPG and doesn't need to be a movie, but damn if like cutscenes and more cinematic gameplay isn't cool. Especially, like, it's really hard to describe if people haven't played like the Jedi games, like with KOTOR and that, especially like Jedi Survivor, where like the lightsaber fights in that game are really cinematic and really cool. They're very like gameplay intensive. You're dodging, you're parrying, you're doing all these cool things, but like the way that they intercut with like cutscenes and stuff like that is awesome. Where like, yeah, you got your lightsaber and you're like clashing against them and like pushing your weight against it. It's like really cool stuff. So, and that's that. The final thing I have here is that if Saber Interactive wasn't developing it, who would be ideal? And so, do you guys have anybody else that you would choose for to make a Knights of the Old Republic remake?
Oh, you've described me as a slave to darkness for my cynicism, so I think I'll stay in character here and say that I don't trust anybody. I do really like Saber Interactive. They're one of the studios that will take a lot of these, IPs or like concepts that haven't been given a proper chance or need someone to come in, and they do a really good job, as we've seen. So besides Saber, I really can't say any studio that I could see realistically taking. I mean, if we do an ideal situation, I don't even know.
Yeah. Andrew?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. Yeah, if we were going more into the CRPG route, then someone like Larian or Owlcat would probably be the best way to go.
Naturally.
Yeah, but if we're going with the action, which is probably what they're going to be taking, and Saber wasn't at the helm for whatever reason, then probably the company that did the Jedi, Survivor, and Fallen Order titles, like you mentioned. Respawn, like you mentioned earlier. Or if we were really hurting for funding for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe the company that did what's that called, Greedfall? I don't know, maybe them. But even then, that's more a desperate move at that point if you're giving it to them.
All right, Wiggz, you got anything?
No, I wouldn't say I know enough about most game developers. Like with what Respawn did with the Jedi, Fallen Order, and Survivor and whatnot. I've never played Survivor, but Fallen Order, they could probably do a decent job. I will also make note of the fact that I only have 20 minutes left where I have to go. But no, I don't really have any.
Oh, we're almost done.
Yeah,
we're almost done.
But I don't really have any comments as to who I would like to see make it.
Alrighty. Basically, if it was full CRPG, yeah, it would be like a Larian or Owlcat. Where, yeah, I think they would do an incredible job if it was just a full CRPG, and I think you could do a lot of depth with it. But if it wasn't them, and it really depends on how a certain game at the end of this month comes out and how it ends up doing. But honestly, if it wasn't Saber, it would honestly, for me, it would be BioWare still. It would still be BioWare. I was like thinking about it, what are the people, and it's like, just give it to BioWare. Let's see what BioWare can do with it.
Yeah,
give it back.
Let's see. I'm gonna see what Veilguard. Like if Veilguard succeeds, then it's absolutely BioWare could do it again.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But we'll see. We'll see what. By the time this video comes out, we should know. But for us here recording now, we still don't know. We're still about like a half month away from that release. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we finally made it to the end of our discussion. That was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And man, what a great discussion and great time was had by all. I'm glad for everybody coming in here. Wiggz, thanks for joining us for one of these. I hope you really enjoyed yourself.
Oh, I did.
In this discussion. Okay. Well, then with that, 4 hours and 33 minutes and 20 seconds into this bullshit, we finally reached the end, ladies and gentlemen. For everybody that has been listening and you've reached this part, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I hope you really enjoyed our discussion of, honestly, as we've probably said before, one of our favorite games of all goddamn time. And so, was somebody saying my name? Somebody whispering my name?
You're good.
Okay.
I'm just adding little. I've been doing this the whole time. I'm just adding little tidbits for you to find when you clean up the audio.
I'm going insane. It's 3 a.m. Fellas, do you have any parting words?
Be safe and take care, everybody.
Wiggz, you got any parting words? It was really great to have you on. I really did enjoy it. I'm glad you were here.
Yeah, fuck yeah,
it's been a slice. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Andrew, you got anything to say?
No, Wiggz, it was fun chatting with you again. And otherwise, everyone else, tune into the rest of the Tom the Chosen One catalog.
Thank you. Whenever that gets released, because at this point I'm very busy and very preoccupied. So,
AKA very lazy and very lazy.
True, very true. But with that, it was great to have everybody on. I love my 1,000 Suns in every way. So, with that, this is Tom the Chosen One, fellas, and I hope you all have an exquisite day or evening, wherever you are in this beautiful little world. Take it easy.